Because I know the way I was brought up, you tend to the elderly. You don't harm the elderly.
And that's how it was for us too. Like no matter how many of us was in the lobby, is it open? There's a couple of people coming back from the stores. Just little, you know, when old people come through, help them with their bags.
Stop cursing.
You know what I'm saying? Stop cursing. Clear it out. Put out the blunt.
Smoke, put the blunt away.
Put the blunt out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It was
Behind your
respect.
back, all
Say
kinds of
hi,
whatever you need to do. And it's all out the window now.
Help them with their shopping bags.
Nah,
don't let them carry nothing heavy.
it's only over because we out of practice of it. You know what I mean? I think during the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, enough fathers and OGs was snatched up off the street that all you was left with was kids being raised by either, you know, women that wasn't in a good state, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or not seeing things. And I know like
at some point kids was being raised by kids.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's another thing. So, you know, we just gotta promote that shit more.
Yeah, shit. Or you was raised by your friend's parents. Shit, I had many friends that had to come stay over, sleep over, look at my parents as their
My
parents.
crib was the halfway house, bro.
Yeah.
And, yo, what happened? Who kicked you out? Oh, you had a fight with your stepfather?
Yeah, you gotta come
crash
stay the
over
night.
here.
Yeah, you need.
Oh, you got beef
Right.
in your neighborhood? Come crash over here. Everybody loved my mom's pancakes.
Yeah.
To this day, they just be like, yo, what's up? And yo, your mom's, she in New York? She making the pancakes this morning? Like, you know what I mean? Everybody loved my mom's pancakes. It's like
So there's a
famous
joke.
thing.
My
Word.
friends
Because she
got a
fed
joke.
the whole neighborhood.
Word.
My friends got a joke from when one day it's him. They slept over. He slept over. I remember we drank all the Kool-Aid. We ate all the waffles. Red comes in like late from a party or something. We kind of sleep, but we can hear him, and he drunk all the juice. There's no juice. Everything going. And it's like, y'all remember, like, damn, we gonna get in trouble tomorrow, but fuck it, you know what I mean? Like, what can we do? I wasn't saying fuck it at that age, but at the same time, I remember
Man,
like
that
those
damn
moments.
juice. Man.
Drunk all the juice, like
You
know
sounded
what
like him just now. Like deadass. I was looking down and I hear your voice, and all of a sudden it's WBLS. Yeah. Just waiting for you to go, Ella Boo Boo. Like, you sounded just like him just now. That was crazy.
I remember it vividly. So that's a fact.
All right, we back. My expert opinion, the fastest growing podcast in the world. We lit. Shout out to all the subscribers. If you're watching this for the first time, hit that like, hit that share. Let everybody know you in here. Don't cost you no paper unless you's a mother hater. Everybody else, thank you. I feel blessed to be in this position. I think we are the only podcast in the top 10 that is not under network.
Word? Just us.
Just us. So shout out to you, because you made it possible. Thank you. Keep sharing the videos. Keep, putting your friends on. We appreciate all of the love, and we're still trying to figure out a way to celebrate 500,000 subscribers. We're going to figure it out, though, and you're going to love it. MECC, what's good?
Salute, King.
HYNAKEN.
I think the best way to celebrate, they want us to go on a quick tour.
Get ready to bleep.
No, just a quick tour. That's it.
Just
No
a quick
bleeping.
tour.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
heard that too.
there's at least 7 cities they want us in.
7.
Yeah.
That's a quick tour.
All right, what we talking?
Philly, Detroit, Houston.
Philly, Detroit,
Atlanta,
Houston. Houston for sure. Shout out to Houston.
Miami.
LA.
DMV. The whole
The DMV,
DMV is
Virginia.
with. Yeah.
Yeah.
London.
London.
Can't forget London. And Jamaica.
And Toronto.
Look, it's just gonna keep going.
Yeah,
It's just gonna keep going.
We ain't never coming
But
home.
shout out to all of y'all. Facts, yeah.
So we working that out.
We'll be on tour for like 2 years.
Hey,
like,
if there's a promoter that wants to figure this out, just make it make
yeah,
sense.
just like, we'll figure it out.
And we'll
Don't
figure
come home,
it
the
out.
kids be grown.
Chas, what up? KK47. Sean BIGGA. Man of God. A few words. I know you're gonna be talking this episode.
Oh yeah, he ready.
I know you're gonna be talking this episode.
He ready.
Now, before I take it, look, there would be strong possibility there wouldn't be the mixtapes. There wouldn't be a lot of your favorite DJs, if not for this man, if not for him ushering a new sound, a new era, and playing the dirty reggae mixes. Yo, our favorite bum. And we know he ain't a bum, you know, he's been doing this thing for a long time, but favorite bum, DJ Red Alert is in the building. The legend, the pioneer.
What's good, everybody? What's good?
And this is Mims.
Don't forget the dollar sign.
You heard dollar sign Mims, you know, he's in the building with him. If you don't know yet, they're related. They're related, but he's a great artist. Stay tuned. Where do we start?
I mean, man, the beginning.
The beginning, the actual beginning.
Do we start before Kool Herc?
No.
No. You know your West Indian question lands right back again. It could be in the beginning.
Yeah.
That could be the beginning.
That could be the beginning.
I'll let y'all two start that West Indian
all right.
question. Or BIGGA. Let BIGGA, he's the one that's, let him start it.
Y'all go ahead.
Man, no. Ask that West Indian question about who started hip hop. Come on, BIGGA. Let's rock out.
You just let the whole question out. All right, this is something we debated
Yes.
a couple of times because a lot of the pioneers of hip hop and the people who ushered it in were West Indian. So can West Indians take credit for hip hop?
Yes and no.
Okay. Why is that?
Because if you were to say that West Indians started hip hop, you would consider that it was starting in the grounds where they lived, where they come from. But West Indians came to the States.
Right.
And they came to the States, they formulated a sound and made it become known as hip hop.
Right.
Because back where they from, either it was reggae, soca, calypso, reggae. Now, did they start hip hop in them grounds? No. But they came to the States to be a part of the sounds.
All right. So that settles that.
Yeah.
That's
I
kind of
don't
like,
hear that debate no more.
that could be like any immigrant that came and whatever they took from their culture, it became morphed into something else, whereas
Look,
the original gangs were.
Let's just close it all and say it's African. Leave it alone, okay? All right, let's
Well,
do
they
that.
always say the sounds of the drum as a pattern. And, you know, everybody was split off in all different spectrums across the board.
Right.
You know? But I always learned that in Jamaica, they was calling it toasting and dubbing. Now, it sounds crazy, but the person who you call a DJ over there was really the person that we call an MC.
See, right.
The person who was on the turntables was known as the selector.
We love selection.
So that's it.
Come on.
Right.
So now here it is. The young man that come from Kingston, Jamaica, came over, staying in the States, and here it is. He started vibing, seeing what was going on around him, and got an idea to recreate in his own formality. And that's what it is. That's why I started here in the States, not over there.
Right. But
Appropriation. Yo, Ghost is hilarious.
I can't even call you a bum.
all right, so what were those times like? Like, okay, we're talking about late 70s.
Late 70s. At that time, I was out of high school. I started working.
Where were you working at?
Oh, I had multiple jobs. I was a messenger. I worked in the garment district. When it came to 80, I had my firstborn. And, you know, I'm still working, but then when you got laid off, you were trying to find ways to make
Make it happen.
I used to go up to Hunts Point and work at the up there and unload trucks, you know, until somebody hooked me up there, and there was a company called Crasdale.
Crasdale.
And that's when I was going ahead and I was on the forklift. And, you know, that's where, you know, you're picking up all the groceries for different stores they're being shipped to. So I always kept on moving around doing that. You know, but that was I was doing. But at the same time that was going on, I was taking time practicing on my own because I started in mid-70s after watching everybody before me. And I saved up my money. Even though I was down in the Garment District, I saved up my money, bought my own set. Payday going around the corner from 35th Street, go to two record stores. One was called Disco Mat.
Disco Mat.
And the other one was called Rock and Soul.
Rock and Soul.
And I was buying all the records.
How much did it cost back then?
Oh man, we talking about a 12-inch record was costing like $2 or $3.99.
Wow.
You know, it was a LP, $6.99. You know, and I was just grabbing up everything.
Well, how much did the equipment cost?
When I got my first set of turntables, it was Technics 1800s quartz. They was, I think they was $139 a piece.
Nah,
Yeah.
$39.
And by the time I got my first set of 1200s, that's a step up. They was like $250 a piece. Yeah.
Who made you want to do it? You said you watched people around you, and it made you want to get busy.
See, I went to school up in the Bronx. I went to DeWitt Clinton High School. I went up there during the time it was all boys, during the gang era. And while I was up there, you know, 2 train stops away from there, you had Lehman College. I'm giving it Lehman College. And right next to Lehman College, you had Walton High School, where it was all girls. So you know why we went over there.
My man, pots and pans.
But meanwhile, going to Lehman College, you know, you coming from high school, you going to Lehman College, you think you with the big boys. So we used to go hang out in the lunchroom, and that's when I saw somebody had a set on top of the long lunchroom table. And it was some turntables, and it was like a thing I have no idea what it was until later on, like a mic mixer that was hooked up to the turntables. And I saw behind him, he had like crates of records. And I'm hearing him playing music. At that time, he was playing like disco, R&B, you know, sounds like that, dance music. And then they encouraged me to sneak on downtown. I'm not supposed to be down there, but I was sneaking down there wearing my brother's clothes. Remember on 42nd Street, you used to get the fake ID?
Yeah, facts. It was lit.
Even though...
It was Kung Fu movie theaters and Triple X everything.
At the penny arcades, you get the fake IDs. And I caught myself trying to get in, but you know, they knew about the fake IDs. But they started letting me in, but they used to always say...
How old are you at this time?
19.
19, okay.
And they were saying, we're gonna let you in. Don't go by the bar. Don't go over here. Don't go over there. Don't do this. Don't do that. But they noticed when I came in, I ain't go no further than
the DJ
standing in front of the DJ. So I just stand in and I watch. At that time, when I was watching the DJ, you had Pete DJ Jones. You had Grandmaster Flowers.
Flowers, yeah.
You had...
Clark brought him up.
What were they DJing?
DJ Plummer.
What were they playing?
Huh?
What were they playing?
They were playing disco and R&B.
Yeah.
At that time, disco, R&B, and dance. You had the very first female DJ I saw with Pete DJ Jones named Becky DJ Jones. And I'm just amazed and watching what they doing. So afterwards, you know, I was coming down, they scrutinized me again, but they saw that I ain't going nowhere but the DJ. Until they saw, okay, go on in, go ahead.
So after a while,
and then before you know it, they saw I kept standing there. They went and got me a seat. They went and got me a seat. After you got me a seat, they say, yo, man, sit down, man.
Just sit down, man.
You know? Because they saw that I just did it. And then afterwards, they come to me and they say, you want a drink? I said, I don't drink, but I was getting free soda.
Right.
You know? So that's what I was checking out, you know, and then going to different clubs down in Midtown. But during the time I was in high school, I kept hearing about this person up in the Bronx named Herc. So that's when I took it upon myself with a bunch of guys from my neighborhood and we went to check out Kool Herc. And that's when I went to see him, and I was amazed because, you know, when you had to go downtown, you had, even though you was a certain age, I was sneaking in, but you had to wear a certain attire, you know, dress and everything.
Right.
Where I went, you could be as you are, regular. you know, and they had all ages. They ain't like dispute nobody. Even though there's some people that's decked out, they used to call them the fly girls or the fly guys.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went in with the fellas, they stopped to be all amongst everybody that's dancing. I want to go all the way to the back. And I see this tall, sturdy guy, and he was around the same set similar that remind me of what I saw at Lehman College.
Right.
And I saw him playing. And when I saw what he was playing, and I'm listening to what he was playing, some similar to what I was hearing downtown, but more obscure sounds. Mm-hmm. Now I was like, yo, this sound good. It sound funky. It sound
Is he
different,
creating
you know?
sounds?
Huh?
Is he creating sounds, or he just,
No, it
or
was
he's
like
manipulating them?
he was
Playing the break.
certain songs he was playing. He was playing a certain portion of the songs, and he would go from one turntable to another. Mind you, he wasn't really accurate on the turntables, but he kept on playing the breaks of certain songs from one to another. While he was doing that, it was times he was getting on a microphone and reciting a couple of things. If he's not reciting, he had somebody else reciting. And now when it came to like some of the songs that he playing, that you know they was called not breakbeats at the time, they were calling the get down part. And you see that the crowd on the side, they all circling around. I'm like, what's going on over there? You know, I didn't know what's happening. That's when I saw people was getting on the dance floor and doing some footwork.
Yeah.
And I like, what the hell going on here?
This
You
is
know?
breaking.
I'm so used to being downtown seeing people doing the hustle.
Right.
They're doing some other type of stuff.
Right.
But I was amazed at the whole scene. So that's what I was doing. Like on a Thursday or Friday after work affair, I would go downtown. But on a Saturday, I would be up in the Bronx. So I learned the variations.
So now you got your set.
Uh-huh.
You were standing by the DJ booth, taking notes,
Watching, right.
watching. What was it like when you got your set? How long were you in the crib just trying to get it right?
One thing that was I did, nobody taught me how to play. I taught myself because when I was in school, I took up music. I learned how to read and write music. So I learned how to segue the sounds, different notes and everything. And then when I saw how he playing, I didn't understand that he had something to his ear because he had this thing. Some of them had a little plug with like a telephone. They plug it in, you know, before there was headphones. They had like a telephone, or they may have this one speaker to it where they got hold of it and listen. I didn't have that. So before I got my first set, I had a regular stereo, and what I did, I played my record, but I had the volume all the way down. I was taking my ear and going listen to the
the
record on the needle on it, and I was hearing certain things. I would hold it. So by the time now, when I got my set and I got my first mixer, I learned how to use that mixer, and that was for the cue.
Can you imagine, like,
Nowadays you got a vibrato.
It's the dedication.
it's the dedication. It's the dedication. Like, bro, you can hear it. Like, when the needle's spinning a record,
Right.
you can hear, like,
Because I didn't have the proper equipment, but I'm trying to see what they're listening for. So I took it upon myself to listen to it, and I was like, oh, that's what it is. You know, a good thing I turned the speaker down.
When did you get the confidence to say, all right, I've been practicing, now I gotta do this in front of a real crowd? What was that first experience like?
There used to be a program I was in while I was in high school. It was called the Upward Bound program. Upward Bound program, while you're spending your junior and senior year of high school, you're staying on campus, living on campus. So I was staying at Fordham University because you had five. You had Fordham, you had Columbia, you had LIU, Queens College, and Stony Brook. So I was at the one in Fordham. And both my friend and I, we had our own stereo set. Now, that's another thing I know I skip over, but as we have our stereo set, and this is like mid-70s, early to mid-70s, here it is that we was always hooking up the turntable, one into phono and the other one into auxiliary. So now, we playing music. If one turntable, one record is going to the end, and we playing the record without cue, we click from phono to auxiliary. to keep it going.
Right.
And before you know, everybody was hanging out in our dorm. Because we had all the music, and everybody started we jamming.
And they never stopped.
They won't stop, you know. Of course, you got in trouble for it because, you know, a curfew, but we still jamming.
Right.
Until they took it upon and asked me, well, can you do it in the cafeteria? We have a party. And that's what I did. I did in the cafeteria of Fordham University.
Wow.
And that was my first time doing it for a crowd.
Wasn't that the first place you saw it?
No.
No, that was at the other.
No. Like I say, I went to Lehman College
Right.
to see it.
Right.
But I was in this program at Fordham University.
Doing it.
Right.
So from what I saw in Lehman College, and I'm in this program and getting the idea of hooking up two sets together and putting the two turntables, of course I ain't had no mixer.
Right.
What was the next thing you trying to do? You clicking from one to the other.
Is that
Right.
blending? Is that blending?
I wasn't blending. I was just playing a record. It was electrophonic. You know what electrophonic
I mean,
was.
it sounds like blending. Sounds like early blending.
Well, it does sound a little bit. I was assuming that's blending. I thought you were blending.
No, you don't.
You know what it sounds like to
can't-
me?
You
He's
just-
just making a playlist.
Put it this way.
That's it.
A record is playing, right?
Uh-huh.
So when the record is dying down, you try to make sure that you put the
next
meter
song.
on, you're clicking over to the next record.
Right.
That's what I did.
That's early blending, Red. You
That's
started
playlist.
blending. You just don't want to take credit for it. I'm hearing blending.
I mean, to me,
Well, I
that's
thought blending was supposed to be on time.
I
Right.
saw
No, you do the
say
record.
that
I
on
say
time.
you were blending great, but it sounds like blending to me. It sounds like my Tonka truck, my first blending.
Well,
Like,
I'm saying the first time you played publicly
Was there in the
in the cafeteria, but the
before
first time you
university.
saw someone
was at Lehman College.
in the
in
cafeteria.
the cafeteria.
In the cafeteria.
Both of these instances were in colleges.
At
And in
colleges.
the cafeteria. I'm still
And in
not
the
past the fact
cafeteria.
that somebody had a full set in the cafeteria,
cafeteria.
on the table. Like I still never
Yeah.
made it past that.
Uh-huh.
Who was that DJ? Did you ever get his name?
To this day, I don't know who he was.
Wow.
But I was fascinated by what I saw.
DJ Inspiration.
Somebody Jack.
It was an inspiration.
DJ
Yeah.
Lunchroom.
Okay, so now you playing.
So here
In
it
the
is,
campus.
I'm playing, and by the time I get my own set, come home from work, buying records, and I just practicing.
Are you already DJ Red Alert, or
well,
did the name come later?
just DJ Red.
DJ Red. All right,
Red.
cool.
So now here it is by playing, and I learned how to blend, holding the records, to bring from one record into another. And like I say, by me learning music, you learn how to pattern, how to blend, accommodating from one song to another by every 8 bars, 12, 16 bars, whatever it is,
Yeah.
to bring it in. And that's what I took time doing.
So now you're blending.
Yes, that's blending.
No, there's an order to it, bro.
Whatever, Red. Don't blend it when I hear blending. You was blending early.
All right, so from there, you're at the college.
Yes. Now,
What's the campus like? Are you famous?
No.
Are
No,
you
no,
the-
no. No, I wasn't famous. You know, they just, all right, Red is DJ, you know. I mean, remember, I'm not doing the college, the terms where, you know, the regular college time. It was during the summer.
Oh, okay.
It was all during the summertime. You doing that, you know, preparing for college. That's what I was doing.
But you had to, I'm imagining people still were loving your party. They still had the summertime jams is like normally
Well, you
epic.
put it this way: you have a host of a lot of young ones that not officially in college, that coming from out of high school during their junior senior year, staying on college campus, and we there for 8 weeks through the whole summer. We were amongst each other, so we did a gathering. So when one person is doing something, everybody joined together.
So everybody knew who you were.
They knew who I was.
Red, okay, Red.
But I wasn't popular.
Not
They
yet.
just knew, oh, Red is playing.
With
Yeah.
all due respect, I'm hearing a lot of toxic modesty coming from this chair right here. Like you don't want to take credit for. I already can see that you were the man on campus. You throwing summertime jams for kids who. It's summertime and you playing records at the college.
Like everybody,
big were the
everybody knows
crowds?
the DJ.
Yeah,
everybody knows the DJ. Like,
If
DJ.
you
everybody
had a
knows
crowd,
the DJ.
Let me see. During the time we was in the program, it must have been a couple hundred.
Red. Red!
Nah, yeah, that's crazy.
Red!
That's crazy.
I don't know a couple of hundred people now. Not that like me. not at the same.
I never
Come
thought
on.
nothing of it from what you're saying.
You blend in early. You don't want to take credit.
Right.
You're the man on campus. You don't want to take credit. I'm seeing a theme and where this is gonna be going.
So what you trying to say? TTBS? That's that bullshit? Hey, just let me know now.
I would never say that to a founder.
Hey, no,
But you
I'm
said it
allowing
first. You said it first.
So, like I say, by me taking time doing that, by the time I'm coming out from that program, here it is, I started working. As I'm working, I save up my money to buy my own set. So now I'm stepping up from what we was doing on a regular stereo equipment to having my own set. So I'm practicing. As I'm practicing, I'm also taking time making tapes. As I'm taking time making tapes, here it is, who was coming by all the time to see me was my cousin. My cousin would come in time, he'd check me out, what you doing? Such and such a thing. Yo, can I learn? I taught him the basics. All during this time, now here come the rise after the first person I saw that was doing the thing, quote unquote, part of the culture. The next wave would come in. The first person I'm talking about is Kool, along with Kool Rock. Here go the next wave after Kool. You got Flash. You got Mario. You got AJ.
Mario. People don't talk about Mario.
You got AJ. You got the L Brothers featuring Theodore was the youngest. You got my man Smokey. It was all everybody up in the Bronx. Because even though I'm from Harlem, I was staying up hanging in the Bronx all the time. So I'm fascinated in watching everybody, and when you get a thrill seeing everybody, you come home and you practice. Meanwhile, my cousin come. Now at that time, the family, my cousin, aunts, and everybody, they used to live up on 151st in Amsterdam.
Right.
They moved from there and moved to the Bronx. Meanwhile, as I taught my cousin and he got it laid down, he saved his money and my aunt helped him out to get his own equipment. Then he started making friends up in the Bronx. He moved to the Bronx River.
Right.
The word got out about him. The first person that took interest about him was Mario. When the person got interest in taking him in, he started playing for him. He wasn't paying him, but he was getting exposure.
Right.
Meanwhile, Africa Bambaataa, who from Bronx River, is hearing so much about who this guy over there with Mario, because Bambaataa and Mario was rivals, DJ rivals.
Right.
They say, well, that's the new kid that moved in Bronx River. He said, what he's doing over there? He's supposed to be with us. So he brought him on. When he brought him on, my cousin kept speaking up for me. My cousin go by the name of the original DJ Jazzy J.
Yeah.
Oh.
So here it is now, it's me and him with a host of others. We all under the behalf of Africa Bambaataa.
Right.
So that's how I got more in an affiliation of the culture. And that was 79.
That was 79. But you were playing parties and stuff at this time?
I did a couple parties after I got off the campus that people hired me. In the neighborhood. A couple of little small.
How much was that bringing in at the time?
Huh?
How much was that bringing in at the time?
Oh, I was probably getting $50.
$50?
Yeah.
Was making tapes normal? Was that a regular thing that everybody did?
No, it wasn't.
Making tapes, what I used to do, I wasn't selling them, but I was playing them. I would make tapes, and it used to be the spot on 123rd Street between 7th and Lenox that used to be called the Chiba House. Everybody by the Chiba. I used to go with the boombox and go up there and play my tapes. Everybody hearing me, such and such. That's how I wound up getting do a couple parties.
But you didn't sell the tapes. You just
I ain't
used them as
sell
an
tapes.
audition.
I was letting people hear me play. They say, yo, once you do my party.
Why you ain't sell the tapes?
Huh?
Why didn't you want to sell the
Because
tapes?
I felt it belonged to me. It's my shit. I didn't think about selling it. I felt like, yo, you hearing my shit. And if I'm drawing you to me and you have interest to book me, I'm keeping my tapes.
Right, because what they gonna do? They gonna buy the tape and play it at the party.
Yeah.
Instead of booking the DJ.
Got you.
You're not gonna book me.
Got
You
you.
got the
Right.
A
So
DJ would have stole your shit and just played the.
Right.
And ooh, that's
Okay, so he started
Wow.
started blending,
yeah.
pioneering mixtapes.
Pioneering mixtapes.
Didn't call it that then.
Right.
No.
It was the man all summer on campus. And now one of the founding fathers has asked to recruit you and your cousin directly to come be on his set.
Right.
Okay.
And this is all in what, 2-3 years?
Yeah. Because I started DJing in 76.
3 years.
This is 79 we talking about.
79 now.
Yeah.
Now, I was also known because I used to always carry my little cassette deck. I used to record the jams at that time, all the parties.
Right.
And that's when I started selling tapes. Why? Because I started finding out that other crews was making money selling tapes.
Tapes.
So even though I'm up in the Bronx, as I'm coming down, I had the tapes. So everybody, or all the spots every day hustling at, I was getting tapes off. You know? $15 for a 60-minute, $20 for a 90-minute.
And that was in 79?
What?
79, 80.
That's like drug money. Bro.
Yeah, that's a lot.
What?
On some hand-to-hand?
That's 40 years ago? There's $20?
So what I used to do,
$70 now in
I
today's
saved
money.
up my money and bought extra cassette decks. So I would go ahead, play a cassette deck, hook it up the other 2 cassette decks to make copies.
And mass produce.
Right.
Keep the master and make copies because they wanted the parties that they was hearing so much about up in the Bronx.
He said, keep the masters.
So what I used to do, make copies, used to buy a little case, you put the tapes in, and walking around selling tapes.
So is this the point where they are with those tapes that you got in the crib with the designs, with the stickers? Are the design tapes out?
No,
yet?
they wasn't design tapes
Okay,
yet.
okay,
They wasn't.
okay.
They was just what I'm writing on there, you know. If there was something that was popping, yo, you got that tape? You got that tape?
Were you Red Alert by now?
Huh?
Were you DJ Red Alert by
Yes,
now?
by that time.
Okay, so when did you incorporate Red Alert?
When I incorporated later on when I got into the next level. But I ain't. But you talking about
Not
incorporated
When you adapted it.
in business or
Yeah.
as in street form?
Yeah, where did you get Red Alert from? You have Red.
Yeah,
What made you say Red Alert?
I got that from playing ball.
Playing ball?
Yeah.
Oh, you was
Played
nice.
ball? Jesus Christ.
Huh?
You was nice.
Tell him.
So you had a ratchet.
Either you was nice or you was a hacker. Which one was it?
I was nice.
All right, cool. There it is.
I was
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
They were saying red alert because skinny, fast, aware.
Nice.
I play. I know that there's different what they call different positions. There. I was like the swing. The swing is like
Between
Shooting
shooting
guard,
guard,
small
small
forward.
forward.
Right.
that's what I was at that time.
Tell him who you was your mentor in basketball. Who you used to look up to and stuff. You used to teach you.
The mentor who I looked up to at that time was my older brother. My older brother just passed away. He's one of the first members
condolences.
under Mr. Homebell Rucker. His name, they call him Ernesto.
Hold on, say that again?
Mr. Homebell Rucker,
And he's one of the what?
my brother was one of the first members under Mr. Rucker. Him along with Bob McCullough, Fred Crawford, Bruce Ragan, the list is long.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's him.
Also, my brother, he was one of the original members of the LA Boys. I don't know if you ever heard of the LA Boys. There used to be a crew up on Lennox Avenue called the LA Boys, Lennox Avenue crew. Him along with Bob McCullough used to stay in trouble. So my grandmother couldn't handle him. Mr. Rucker encouraged to get both Bob McCullough and my brother and send them down to Laudenberg Institute, the same school that Earl Manigault went to finish. After they finished in there, they stayed down there and went to Benedict College. This is in Columbia, South Carolina.
Right.
So that's the guy who influenced me to start playing ball.
You ever seen Earl play?
Yeah,
So are the stories true about the quarters and the backboard?
that boy was different.
That shit real? That's one of the craziest. You heard about that shit, right, man?
Taking the quarters.
Quarters off the backboard, leaving
two
the
guys that was known. It was him and Jumping Johnny Green. Yeah, and Helicopter. Another guy named Helicopter. Yeah, but where I lived at, there was a building right next to the park.
Yeah.
That was a school. PS 156. The Rucker Park was where I came out for recess.
Wow.
So I seen all that, and my brother is part of so I seen all the tournaments. I seen all of them.
Was he really snatching quarters off the top of that grip?
I'm trying to tell you, that boy was different.
It was different. What's the craziest thing you seen him do?
It's hard to say. So much shit I seen him do. Remember, I got to see him, I got to see Joe Hammond, I got to see Pee Wee. Helicopter. I mean, I've seen them all.
During this time, crack is hitting, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
During this time,
crack
this
is
is about
starting to
crack.
But see, I seen these guys in the early 70s before I got into DJing. Since he brought him up, who was my influence of playing ball.
Right.
And of course, you asked me where I got the name Better Life from.
Right.
You say, you was coming to me about late 70s. You ain't asking about before then.
All right, cool.
All right?
Cool.
So now I'm talking about the early 70s.
Please.
Being under my brother influenced me. I played organized ball, played little high school ball, and then from there, one thing led to another.
Right.
And music took over.
Music took over. I
took
got
over.
influenced by music.
So the early 70s was basketball, late
Yes.
70s turned into music.
Right.
Red Alert popped up, was officially born in the late 70s
Right.
as
Right.
your DJ name.
Now you're
Right.
moving tapes. How much
Moving-
money would you say you was generating at the time off the
Oh,
tape?
man, let me see. According to whether tape was hot. Oh, man, listen here. I had the Cold Crush battle. I had the official mix of the Kool D that was in the MC contest when he went after Busy B.
Busy B, you
What?
had that?
And you was selling that tape? How much you was charging, bro?
Oh, because it was a 90-minute tape, $20.
$20.
Yo, you moving more than the drug dealers, man.
All right, so how much? All right, can I
Yeah,
ask, so
how
how many
much-
tapes? How many tapes? Like,
Yeah, like, how
what's
many-
what's a package for you? Like a whole package?
A bad day may be 2 tapes. A good day may be near 10.
Near 10.
It depends on how often I was going to all the spots. Because, you know, when people's getting money out there, you know, you go to hustlers.
Right.
Or somebody driving by, yo, I'm gonna need a tape, such and such.
Right.
Legend in
But
two
that's a
games
day.
like on Pee Wee
So
Kirkland.
imagine after a week, I may have a couple hundred.
Yeah.
Right.
Back then.
Yeah.
How come you're not considered one of the? This is just a round off question, but how come you're not considered one of the top 3? Like not top 3, but one of the 3 founders. The founders are normally considered to be Herc, Bambaataa, and Flash, but you were before. Flash.
Because here it is, they was figures of their own. Flash stand out, Herc stand out, Bam stand out, various others stand out. There was an army of DJs. I was on the band. My cousin Jazzy was on the band. Grand Mixer DXT was on the band. Rest in peace, WizKid was on the band. Africa Islam was on the band. We was all under him. He was the man,
Right.
the pinnacle.
Okay.
So
That
that's
makes
why,
sense.
you know, they look at them as the forefront.
Right.
That's what it was.
At the time, why be in the DJ crew?
Excuse me?
What were the pluses of being in the crew?
Being in the crew, well, you know, what I say about Bam was like this. If he liked what you was doing, he'd take you in. Didn't matter how many DJs it was, not how no, he was known for having 10 MCs. The original Soul Sonic Force.
Right.
10 MCs. He just took you in. And I got in through my cousin. That's how he got everybody up.
Did you avoid the gang affiliate? Did you manage to avoid the gang affiliations? Bam was known for the Black Spades.
But you know, the gang died down at that time, but I avoided the gang while I was in DeWitt Clinton High School, because I was in the middle of the gang era. It had like a dozen gangs in there. You had the Savage Skull, the Savage Nomads, the Seven Crown Memorials, the Spades, the Pearls, I mean, the Bachelors. I mean, it's an army of them.
Right.
So you imagine being an all-boy high school that ranged about 30-something, 3,800 people. But you know, at that time, gangs wasn't going after regular Joes. Gangs was going against gangs.
Gangs, that's it.
Now, what they did, if they saw you was quote unquote a sport figure in there, they looking out for you. They don't want you involved in none of that. But they was never going after robbing a regular student.
Civilians.
Or regular civilian anything.
Right.
There was gangs going against gangs.
So you being a basketball player, they would just.
And then also, I was cool with this guy who was on the football team. His name was Tiny Porter. Even though his name Tiny Porter, he's 6'8". Big. And he took me under his wing. Especially when he came senior day. Because the senior day, they used to go after all the freshmen. And they were trying to get a hold of me. Then he said, no, you can't touch him.
So they knew from there.
Shout out to Tiny.
Shout out to Tiny, where we at. Shout out to Tiny.
Shout out to Tiny
All
Porter.
right, but like Bigga was saying, crack is starting to move in.
I started to practice more and more, getting more into what I'm doing. So now here it is. I was always the last man to get to play under Bam. Why? Because my cousin Jazzy became flashy into his own, skillful with the set.
Right.
Other people, Grand Mix of DXT, you know, Africa Islam, you know, host everybody. I wasn't skillful like that. I was more a blender. So sometimes I may be like the last person for the last 40 minutes of the night getting on.
Right.
But I still hunting there. So, you know, as they making their name of that, all the tapes I was recording, I was making my name downtown selling tapes.
So what was the environment like at that time?
Oh, the environment was everybody partying, and you know, there was a lot of fear for people felt about us as Zulu Nation at the time, you know. But then, you know, you had other crews like for the anybody that was going to all the flash parties, you had the Casanovas, and there was another crew called the Boston crew, the Boston Road crew, the 9 crew from Claremont Projects. There was a crew that was under affiliation of AJ. So it was territorial, but they still respected each other.
Right.
That's what it was.
What's the neighborhoods looking like with crack starting to hit?
I mean, you gotta understand, drug infested, you know, Bronx, they used to call it the burned down Bronx, because everything was all burnt down.
Yeah.
You know, that of stuff. Put it this way, in some of the areas that you may have in Brooklyn and Queens, it looked like Hollywood compared to what the Bronx used to look like.
There were places in Brooklyn that looked just like that.
Huh?
I remember being real young and living across the street from a crack house on Quincy.
Right.
And at that time, there was a lot of abandoned buildings, a lot of boarded up joints. You would see the fires in the windows at night and all that.
But
you see
you have
people
some
going
nice
in and
blocks throughout some of the parts of the city that have the brownstones and looking real laid out and fantastic.
Right.
They had none of that up in the Bronx.
The whole Bronx was just tore up.
The only thing that looked right was the project.
Jeez.
And you managed to keep on hip hop in the mix of all of this.
I was a person that got along with everybody. You might as well say they gave me a pass because they know I'm from Harlem, but I learned to gel with everyone, everywhere I went.
Okay.
That's what it
So
was.
how did as the person who's playing last in the set, how did Red Alert become the name that he became? Where did you start getting recognition?
So here it is, during the time while we up in the Bronx, and then here come the recording field come. First, you know, you see them flashing them, and they had super rapping, and they came with other records. Funky 4+1 had their record. Spoonie G had their record. No, we talking 79.
AJ had that record.
AJ had that. AJ came a couple years later. Curtis Blow came with Christmas rapping, 79, you know. So by the time Bam got involved with a man named Paul Whitley, and he had a record came out called Zulu Throwdown. Mind you, Bam had a whole army of us, but he divided us. So he had a portion of the MCs on the side, he called them the Cosmic Crew. He had a portion that me and Jazzy had perfected that was the Jazzy 3, turned out to become the Jazzy 5. And you know, when he had the rest of them, that was all part of his Soul Sonic Force. So the Cosmic Crew, they made a record called Zulu Throwdown. That came out in '80. So now, in '81, Jazzy 5 came out with a record called Jazzy Sensation. In '82, he took 3 members of the Soul Sonic Force and came out with a record that changed the game, Planet Rock. Meanwhile, as that's going on, we not leaving from up in the Bronx. We call ourselves going places. If we were going to Jersey, going to Long Island or Connecticut, because you know, you leaving out the neighborhood, you felt like you was doing something.
Right.
But now here we coming downtown. And we coming downtown to places called the Grills, Danceteria. You know, it was like saying hip hop meet punk rock. Because punk rock was coming out in the early, that time, new wave music, you know,
right.
with groups like Tom Tom Club, Devo, quite a few of them type of groups. And we was being around a whole different flair of people, because that's when disco was dying down, but everybody started coming with their oldness. So now we start seeing weird-looking people wearing spikes and hairdos and all kind of stuff.
Boots and all that.
Y'all, man, nuts.
Cowboy boots.
Oh, forget it.
You was dressing like that, Red? Keep it real,
Hell
man.
Never. Never.
You ain't had the braids with the beads, son. You
Never.
ain't had none of that.
None of that.
Is Shirt Kings and all that stuff out yet?
No,
Like
that wasn't.
Dapper
That was
them?
later on.
That was later?
That was later on.
You ever went back to that place where you were watching all the DJs play? You was talking about downtown and the security.
Did you ever
let
play
in?
there?
Huh?
You ever went back to play in that club that was letting you
No, I
in?
never played none of them clubs recorded at that time.
You never said, hey, I'm bringing this element called hip hop. I'm DJ Kool, Red Alert.
It was not being respected at all.
At all.
It was not being respected. They
At
did
all.
not accept that. Here was a club that used to be up in the Bronx called 371. 371 was like an element similar to like the downtown scene.
Gotcha.
Where you had to be dressed a certain way, you know, at a certain age and everything. If anybody come with any elements in the Bronx as far as hip hop, get that b-boy shit out here. We don't do none of that. So they didn't want to accept that
Why?
at all, huh?
Why?
Because they felt that, you know, that degraded them at that time. Hip hop, anybody that was in that whole different range of being dressed up, articulate, working class audience, such and such, they look at hip hop like, that real piece of shit outside.
They didn't look at
respect
it
that.
as real music, right?
They didn't know. They didn't look at
Kinda
it.
like
Mom
some
used
drill
to say a
music.
bunch of noise.
Bunch of
Yeah, a
noise.
bunch of noise, yeah.
Like that.
I
Paid in
remember
Full
fighting that
scene.
fight.
Yeah.
I remember hearing my brothers talk about
Yeah,
stuff
they
like
didn't
that.
accept that. None of that.
It
wanna say
didn't
shout
really
out to
get
Black
accepted
Sheep.
till later on, to like with Will Smith. Will Smith actually, you know,
Made it cool.
We talking
Parents
about
just
what?
don't
yeah,
understand.
parents
That's
just
about
don't
10 years.
understand, truly broke Big
the
Bang.
first
Yeah,
one to
because
get
it
the
went
Grammy.
mainstream.
Yeah.
As it went mainstream, started being accepted. But records from before, even though you may care for some of the records, like Planet Rock, it was a game changer.
Right.
It reached more into the dance music world, because you remember, that was what is called electro funk. And there was a lot of records that came out similar sounds to Planet Rock, like Shannon, Let the Music Play, Give Me the Night,
love that.
a group called Freeze, AEIOU, Pop Goes My Love, and many others similar to that.
So you was rocking all that.
Rocking all that.
And you ain't had no bedazzled shades.
My man.
No bedazzled shades, man. You ain't had no shiny.
Not bedazzled shades.
MND, nigga no do. None of that. None of that. The only thing I was known for was the big red afro. That's what I was
Big
known
red
for.
afro. That's it.
what I was known for.
All right, cool.
And always had on just like, you know, warm-up suits, you know, jeans, sneakers, you know, that's it.
So this is still before BDP.
Huh?
It's still before
before
BDP.
BDP.
Way before that.
Way
After-
before.
yeah,
All right, so
before that.
Rapper's Delight.
After Legendary.
Where were you when you heard that the first time?
First time I heard rappers was like, there used to be a spot that is a landmark in Harlem on 138th Street off of 7th Avenue. It used to be called the Renaissance. Shut down. I think they closed it out. There was a man, rest in peace, named Willie Gums, along with my man Dickie, rest in peace. They used to have a thing called the Rolls Royce movement. And during the time when the rise of hip hop was going on, they had parties in there during the week.
Right.
From 7 to 11 for just $1. They say, yo, all you need $1 to come in and do the freak dance, because that's when the freak dance was out during that time.
Right.
And they was having, the DJs at that time who they had was, rest in peace, Donald D, B-Fat's brother,
Right.
Lovebug Starsky, and various other. It was a crew called the Sapphire Crew that B-Fats and Donald D would come from. They came out of Drew Hamilton. So they had, one time they had
Shout out to Drew
us
Ham.
as guests in there.
Right.
Band played. So while we in there, out of nowhere, and I never forget because Power was on the mic and a couple others, band played this record and we started hearing some rapping on it. We like, what the hell is that? And we look at Power and Power went like this. It's not me. It's the record.
Wow.
That's the first time I heard Rapper's Delight.
Wow. And what was the response? Did everybody just stop? Like,
Yeah, everybody just stared, and you know, staring at each other and hearing it, like, oh shit. First time I ever heard it.
hip hop? So from there, was it like, off of that record, did you guys start calling it hip hop? What was it at that time?
We didn't ever call it hip hop. The media called it hip hop.
Hip hop, right.
We was going to jams. We were going to other parties. We were going to the jams. The reason why the media called it hip hop because when they started hearing more of these records being made, they said, "What is this stuff we hearing? This hippity hop, this bebop? Y'all doing that hip hop?" Then they coined the phrase
Hip hop,
hip hop.
right.
It's so weird.
But it was called the Jam.
We was just saying we were going to the jams.
So were they rappers?
No,
What did you call them?
we called the rappers MCs.
MCs.
MCs, you
Right.
know, because they accommodating the DJs.
Master of ceremonies. When did the transition happen from Street Red Alert selling the tapes into Red Alert the artist making records with rappers?
Well, that's where I was going with that before, you know, the interception come in.
He said that.
Here it is. When I was saying we was going from one club to another, from the Grills to Dance to now to the Roxy. By the time we got to the Roxy, and here was a guy in Africa Islam that was a part of us, him and I, while we was at the Roxy, we was on an independent radio station, WHBI 105.9. That's the place where Mr. Magic started at. And we used to come on Wednesday night, Thursday morning, 2 in the morning. And you had to pay for airtime. At that time, WHBI used to be in the basement of a tenement building up on 80 Riverside Drive, on 80th Street. It was in the basement. So, pay for airtime. Here it is. Islam got the promoter for the Roxy to pay for the airtime because he was always advertising about the Roxy.
Right.
So I'm hanging down there with him, and you know, I was known for playing the tapes from the jams, and he was mixing certain things that he had did on the cassette. So now here was a person have interest to come to the Roxy from 98.7 Kiss FM. His name was Barry Mayo.
I heard about it. That's a legend.
Barry Mayo came, and he was seeing what was going on because at that time when we was in the Roxy on a Friday night, we used to average 3,500 people.
Damn.
3,500 people of all different cultures. Latin, blacks, Hispanic, Orient, everybody. And we were playing a little bit of everything because one thing Bam taught us to be open-minded and play a little of everything. So we're not playing just hip-hop, we're playing rock and roll, we playing soul, we playing disco, we playing jazz, we playing a little bit of everything. Because we got a diverse crowd in there.
Right.
You know? Barry Mayo kept hearing about it, he came down, stepped the band and say, we want to incorporate what you doing along with us. At that time then, WBLS had picked up Mr. Magic in '82. Now I'm talking about 83 when Barry stepped to BAM and said, we want to incorporate that. So the first person they went after was Africa Islam. Africa Islam was the top guy at the time. He couldn't do it because he was going away with the Rocksteady crew after the success of the movie Wild Style. So the next person he went after was my cousin Jazzy. Jazzy did it for a couple months, mind you. They wasn't paying no money.
None.
None. And Jazzy did it for a couple months until he let it go. He said, nah, I don't want to do it. So they went to BAM and said, who's the next person you have? And that's when they came to me. And that was October 83.
Did you ask for money?
No.
No.
But what they did gave me exposure to make money.
Right.
Because now people are hearing you. So the same thing what I was doing when I was playing my tapes in
Moving your
these
tapes.
spots. People was hiring me. As they hear me on the radio, people was hiring me.
Right.
So for 3 months I was with no pay, but I was getting gigs.
But the price went up.
Huh?
Your
price
gig
went
price went up though.
Now, yeah, the price went up. Now by the time I got, that was October, November, December. The top of 84, now I'm getting paid. It was low, but I was still getting some money.
So what would you say you were doing how many parties a month?
Yeah, about maybe out of the whole month, about maybe 2.5 weeks worth of gigs.
2.5 weeks. And you're charging how much?
And I was charged at the time $300.
And what year?
83.
Selling drugs. This guy's scraping.
Word.
That's the
He
equivalent in
hanging with the
today's
drug
money.
dealers like, yeah, we got it.
Like
I got
about
it too.
$1,000 in today's money. 1,200. Yeah.
We're doing that.
So now it's time to get now you see everybody else with rappers. You know what part I'm fast forwarding to. I'm trying to let the story breathe, but
Yeah,
I'm so
I know I'm dragging it.
I'm so
No.
interested. No, you're not.
dragging
We need every
Yeah, we
detail.
need
all
every
these
detail.
holes. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, you feeling
yeah.
these holes in.
I know the part is coming where you start talking about violator and native tongues, but I want to work up to that.
Right.
I know you want to get to that.
Right.
So what I always did, because as they know I'm on the radio, a lot of companies is bringing me records, sending records to me. And I always take time, view them, I judge what sound good. But I ain't just play anything. I always judge everything.
Right.
She was A&R'ing too.
Huh?
She was A&R'ing
Yeah,
too.
because I look at it this way. Your credibility is within your own about judging what is it to play. If you playing bullshit, they be like, this nigga playing some bullshit. He turned it down.
Right.
Mind you, I was in competition with Mr. Magic. So I had to judge what sound good to keep people locked in.
Right.
But remember, when I first got on, they had me not just playing just straight hip hop. I was learning how to incorporate what they was having, because it used to be called the Kiss Master Mixes. At that time, they had Shep Pettibone, Junior Vasquez, I think Jelly Bean was doing a little bit, and Tony Humphrey. So now I got to learn how to, when I learned from BAM, playing in the rock scene of it, play a little bit of everything. So you may hear me play some R&B. You may hear me playing some other shit. I'm playing like David Bowie. That's dance. I'm playing Madonna. I'm playing Hall Notes. I'm playing Rocket by Herbie Hancock. But also I'm affiliating it with some early rap records. And in between that, playing some break beats that we was playing. So I was learning how to mix everything in and blend it in together.
Right. Now, at that time, were people approaching you with the bag?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They approached me with the bag. And they used to say I was a stupid motherfucker because I didn't take it.
I was on the phone with somebody for 2 hours, and they praised you for that. And they said, to this day, that's one of the reasons I don't do that shit.
I was approached many a times. I mean, it got so bad to within some that the force became almost like a threat. You better take this money.
Right.
I ain't taking shit. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be bought. You know, I'm sorry. You know,
What's the most you turned down?
huh?
What's the most they offered
A couple
you?
thousand.
Okay, that's.
I said no. I'm not doing it. It's not worth it. Why should I ruin my reputation off of a couple of thousand? No, sorry.
I hope y'all are hearing this.
And not only that, if you feel that you give me that couple, I accept that. Now they feel they can handle you any way they want.
That's what was happening to other DJs, right?
They feel like, yo, you gonna play my shit. You know, they leaning on you.
Right.
They got mad because I said no. And they say, oh, you dumb, you stupid, what the fuck wrong with you? And I said, I don't care.
The records were trash though, right? Like this.
Some of them was good. But it's according, I judge what sound good to me. There was records I was already playing, and they still were trying to push something on me. I like, I don't want it. You sure? I don't want it.
Even just as a thank you for playing it on your
I
own?
didn't want it. I said, you want to pay me? You gave me to have an album release party, right? Hire me to for the party.
Bam.
Now I'm getting paid for my service.
Right.
I'm not getting paid to play a record. I'm getting paid for my service to DJ the party.
Right.
So they can
for
pay for
any
your service.
performance.
They can't pay for your taste, your integrity.
Then you're just a jukebox.
Right.
No.
Right.
Now, if records is whack, yeah, they gonna try and force out out. Or you're not gonna play? Nah. I'm happy to say that I encourage some people to go back to the drawing board and make a better record.
Right.
Yo, arsonist, I hope you heard that. Heat makers. I hope you heard what he just said.
Why are you saying that he
Because when we first argued in this room, that was the exact same thing I said. He said I was mean for telling everybody they were whack when they were whack. And I said, no, if they're really good, they'll go back and get better. If they're supposed to be here, they'll take what I said, they'll go back, they'll improve,
Damn,
they'll come back.
That was like 100 episodes ago.
I
He was waiting for that moment.
I hold grudges, bro. I got a co-sign. I got a
You finally got the co-sign on that,
I got it
bro.
right here.
Two
That's
guys
what's up, man.
that's no longer here with us, and I never forget that it was different ways how they was approached. The first time this guy came to me, about maybe 4 or 5 times, he came with me a record. I listened to it. Nah. He didn't argue. He went back. He came again, went back. Then he came with a record. And I said, okay, you got one. He ain't wait till years later, and we talking about late 80s, not till years later, before his passing, that we walking over there by Mount Morris Park, and he said, yo, Red Man, thank you. I say, why? Because you kept me going back to make a better record, and once I learned what the sound is, I learned to work with my DJ to continue that type of sound.
Who was it?
That was Guru.
Wow.
That was Guru.
Rest in peace. Rest in
There go
peace.
another person. He was hot off his first record. And we were hanging in the Latin quarters. And you know they get happy and hype and all about this something. So he being amongst everybody, and he saying, yeah, I'm going to come out with my next record, and you going to play. He going to say it in front of everybody. I pull him to the side. I said, let me tell you something. You got a hit record, I got a job. You don't have no more hit records. I still got a job. He waited till years later in Justin's, remember the...
Justin's.
And I saw him for the first time in a while because that's when he moved out west. Rest in peace, Heavy D.
Wow.
I look at it this way. If you can encourage them to do better and have that driving force to stay on top of your game, there's some of them that was on top of their game and then they lacked off. They fell off. And then when, they come to you about, yo, it's not hitting no more. I had a lot of them mad at me, but yo, I'm going to stick to my guns. Name of the game.
Well, who was somebody, aside from those people, that you said, yo, it's not hitting no more, and they came back with something crazy?
Oh, man. Naughty by Nature. Naughty
was the
by
record?
Nature before they was known as New Style. A lot of people didn't know they was known as New Style. I'll never forget, they came to me with some records, I like, nah, not happening. Didn't care for it. They was mad. They was trying to lean on Mark the 45 King and lean on me. I say, not happening. I'll never forget the day when That's the time Jessica used to have that club down on 54th Street off of 10th Avenue, Red Zone. I'm walking out the Red Zone. I'm walking up to the avenue. I seen their manager, Pookie. He said, yo, man, I want you to listen to something. For the very first time, I heard OPP. And I looked at him, I said, you got one. I remember that.
Awesome.
So where does, now you're cultivating this A&R life, basically, because people are stepping to you asking for your opinion. It's really counting for something. How do you decide that you're going to take it further, start getting into management, start putting these crews together?
My nephew, Mike G, my sister's son, he used to always say to me, because he went to Mary Bertram High School, he'd say, yo, me and the fellas want to make a record, I didn't take him serious in the beginning.
Mike G, Jungle Brother.
Yeah,
Right.
Mike G, Jungle Brother. I didn't take him serious because, you know, I didn't know which direction he was going. Later on, a guy by the name of Tony D used to be a DJ for a group called Bad Boys that had made the record Inspector Gadget. He said, yo, Red, you know, here it is. I just built a studio in my house, so, you know, anybody you have interest, you may want to bring them on in. I said, okay, so that's when I went to my nephew and I said, y'all say you're on my record? Okay, let's go. And they came in their first record they made, but even before then, going there, they went up to my cousin Jazzy because he had a studio. And they started something up there, but they never finished off. But then that's when I told them about Tony G. So they went out there, and one record they had called The Breaks, they ain't do nothing. But then here they came up with this concept as an idea off of my older brother. He used to always say this thing. He used to always say about a female, no disrespect. He always say about, yeah, you know, I'm gonna see this chick. He's just, you know, my brother was known for different things. Number one, like you still see me doing the abbreviation, the acronyms, I got that from him.
Right.
Then he had these different type of sayings. Yeah, you know, I'm going to see this Chizip tonight. You know, when I see this Chizip, you know, I'm make sure I get the Jimbrowski done. Make sure I get all.
Not the Jim Brown ski.
So my nephew Mike, remember that from the family. I was hearing Junie saying that before we called my brother Junie. So he got together with Africa and they made a record called Jimbrowski. And that was the start off for the Jungle Brothers.
Did they cut a check for your brother or no?
Huh?
Did they cut the check for their uncle?
No, they ain't cut the check.
That's great.
That's wild. Now, mind you, you asked me what led me towards MECC. Now, before that, I was in affiliation with a couple other people before that because when I was DJing, remember the Roxanne era?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when, you know, they came out with that, and then here it is that Marty got Shantae do it. So I'm hanging out in Russell Simmons' office. Russell Simmons was managing everybody at the time. He had Spider D as one of his artists. Spider came walking with a lady and said, yo, listen to this thing I just made. Check it out. He listening to it. Oh shit, this sounds right. Oh, yo, we gotta jump on this. Yo, who, anybody sign? Yeah, Nia Records just signed to the label. Okay, well, we gotta start. So the young lady, she right there, she say, yo, this is going too quick because this is all new to her. She said, this is, but yo, how y'all getting me? I don't even have a DJ yet. She turned around and looked at me, and Cut Creator was sitting right next to me, as Cut Creator was already with LL.
Mm-hmm.
She turned around and said, you want to be my DJ? I said, okay, that was Sparky D.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I started DJing for Sparky. And you know what was so clever that with Sparky, because not once ever in our lives we ever practiced. We always went spontaneous. She'd feel me out, I'd feel her out, and I was on the road with her. So here with that, now afterwards that died down, here my man come to me, he asked me for advice about music, the music business. So I told him, certain things that I knew. Mm-hmm. Here it is. He went ahead and made this record, and he wanted me to be a part of the crew. Rest in peace, Scott LaRock. So that's how I got an affiliation with Boogie Down Production. Here it is that before, once again, the management, I had some labels was coming to me about other certain things. I remember one Sparky got signed to another label called Next Plateau. They came to me and say, Red, nice meeting you. Any artists that you have interest that you can bring them on, bring them to us. So the group I found, I didn't find, but they found me. And they say they want to get signed or something. And I listened to their material. It sound good. Was group Black Rock and Ron. That's how I'm living. I want them over there. The next group after that, when they say they had a bad contract deal by handshake with a guy that was on 105.9, DNA along with Hank Love, they say, yo, Red, we need you to get over here and help us out. So I brought them over to Next Plateau. That was Ultramagnetic.
Wow.
So you know, I was hand in hand.
Was you getting checks for the?
Each time I got them in, they gave me finder's fee.
Right. How much was the finder's fee?
Finder's fee was like $8,000. Also, I helped Poor Righteous Teachers, because Poor Righteous had their own label. And they had their own label, and I was playing it. A guy from Profile Records named Manny came and said, what is this record you keep playing? Mm-hmm. So I showed him. He contacted everything and got them signed. Gave me finder's fee.
Awesome.
Just Sites too.
Yeah, she's getting all this signed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Goodness
So
gracious.
when you look at the development of DJing for artists, help people get a deal, and now here it is within your own coming to you about doing records and get that established where you start to manage them, that's when you form your own stuff as a company.
Right.
Red Alert Production.
And what year you quit your job?
Huh?
What year did you quit your job? Because you said you was working these jobs. And
Yeah, I used to, now by the time after my son, and working in, like I say, up there at Hunts Point, and then when I got other jobs, I developed to start working with this company called Gibbs and Hill in Two Penn Plaza. And that was right across the street from Madison Square Garden. But I also took up in school was drafting, learning how the idea of blueprints work. You know. So I got that as an apprentice. So I was in there. I was in there for a couple years and still working with BAM until I got that shot for the radio. So after I got that shot at 83, in 84, they laid me off. So when they laid me off at 84, I was still getting low pay, but I said, let me give this a shot because I saw how I developed my name getting gigs.
Right.
So that's what I did.
And from there, took off.
So Red Alert, what's the name of the management company? You said Red Alert.
RAP, Red Alert Production.
Where did Violators come from?
Violators come, okay, by the time I was in Union Square, in 86, I had some guys that were Zulus coming from the Bronx coming down. So they come to the door and say, hey, yo, BAM sent us down here. Knowing damn well BAM ain't sent you down here. But I got the understanding that you saw I was coming more and more into my own. So they looking at the next wave to come and join along with me. So I got them in. So as I got them in, it was a bunch of guys, and they always doing some dumb stuff.
What was the dumb stuff?
You know, taking people girls, couldn't stand people from Brooklyn.
Oh, wow. Look at
Hey, I'm being honest, keeping it a buck.
that. It's all good.
And running down, I said, yo, man, you gotta stop this, man. Y'all violating. And that's how that name came about.
Violators.
You violating, man. Especially when it came to the girl, because I saw them snatching girls from people out of guys' arms. I said, yo, man, you gotta stop violating, man. Because I'm looking at, I just started in this club the first night. And y'all coming in just doing all the dumb stuff.
Then you started shouting it out all over the place. It became a thing.
Now you're asking the beginning. I'm telling you the beginning.
That was the beginning, right.
Put the brakes on. Here it is. At first, it was Chris Lighty, we called him Baby Chris. It was a guy named Dow, we called him Sneaky D. And there was 2 or 3 other guys that was all part of them. So now here it is, they coming down, they doing the thing. Meanwhile, I got a couple other guys coming down from Bronxville. Yo, Bam, send us down. I said, come on in. Now, at that time, I don't know if y'all heard the history of how Union Square used to be.
Yeah, well, I heard.
Nuts.
Right.
And they always challenging my brothers. So they always fighting. So that's how they developed, their name got developed because they said, who y'all fighting? These guys, they call themselves violators.
All
So,
right. Wait,
so before I even got to say something, their name was buzzing from fights.
Okay, so rewind. The history of Union Square. What was going on down there?
Union Square, where, you know, it was a hip hop club that was down on 18th Street in Broadway, you know, right across from Union Square Park. And I was doing Fridays. And, you know, at the time in '86, you were playing all the hits. You know, we talking about the year that Eric B. Rakim came out. We talking about when Boogie Down Production came out. We talking about, here it is, that Dougie and Heavy already came out with their records. You know, we talking about the tail end of Run DMC with Peter Piper. We talking about, here you got Salt and Pepper, you know, and then there was other various records, you know. I'm right along all in conjunction together. But Brooklyn was always doing the crazy stuff. You know what they do. Vic season. Yeah, you got the thumbs up.
Got the thumbs up.
Part of the culture,
Pride,
man.
with pride. With saying
Part
with
of the
pride.
culture.
It was Vic season.
Part of the, yeah.
And it was being challenged, and it was challenging people that's not from Brooklyn. It didn't even have to be just the Bronx. It could be Harlem, it could be Queens, it could be anywhere out of but Brooklyn.
Right.
And that's how I used to be in there.
So
Y'all dudes need therapy.
So you saying a young Chris Lighty was
think
in
it's
Union
therapy.
Square duking it up too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
The way he carried himself, you'd be like, he was always so, you know.
No, he was that,
He was getting that.
no, he was about that life.
But you molded him.
Look at Matt.
Can you take credit from?
Now I'm going to tell you how that came about.
Gotcha.
So now here it is as they on, and then from there, only 7 months lasted in Union Square, only 7 months. Then from there, I went to Latin Quarters, and they right along with me. So now here it is, there was 2 different crews. I forgot the crew that was in Brooklyn that was in there, but now it's a different crew that's in Latin Quarters. And I heard most of them come from the project, the Pink House.
Well, yeah.
What crew was it? Pink Houses, yeah.
It was Pink
Houses,
House crew,
right, yeah.
you know, Dog, Pig, you know, a couple others. And I forgot the other ones that was in Brooklyn, in Union Square. So the fighting continues, you know. Now, at that time, by their name buzzing because they fighting, and I'm shouting their names out. I'm always shouting, and then they start doing promos for me. Cause I was always known for having promos. People were shouting me out, and they'll read such and such, and so that's how their names start buzzing. Wow. Now, what led to later on, when the group came out, Jungle Brothers, and they started making records, and they started doing shows, they needed a road manager. The reason I appointed Chris Lighty to become the road manager because a lot of people didn't understand. He was arrogant and cocky, but he had a good head on his shoulder. Chris was a person that, while he was in Union Square, he was going to school, working as an electrician on Metro North,
That's a lot of money.
and hanging out.
A lot of money.
And throwing hands.
And
It
throwing
makes
hands.
sense because his cousin is about that life. AB, I should have known.
AB, shout out to
AB,
Yeah.
that's my guy. He did a lot of math.
AB.
Yeah, he about that.
And he was
Rest in
around
peace.
that too.
Yeah, I just thought
Shout
about
out to
that.
AB.
So now here it is. I got him involved to start representing for the Jungle Brothers. And then, you know, as I got to formulate my company, he was part of the company.
Yeah.
And then from there, he extended from there and got involved with Leroy Cohen's for Rush Management.
But Violator
Then
still
he
stuck with-
formed, after that, he formed Violator Records first.
Okay.
from Violator Records, then he formed Violator Management. And then started having a big conglomerate right behind that.
All right, we jumping ahead a little too fast. It's an MC named Shan.
What about Shan?
Look at his face.
Look at his face. He's like,
got
He
me
had a
what he's
record
right.
called
Huh?
The Bridge. He had a record called The Bridge.
Right, uh-huh. Yeah.
Like that changed the world.
Yeah, he was, he was from
Yeah, well, I know we
Queensbridge.
skip over that, so let's go back to that.
Let's go back. Let's go back to that. Let's go back to that.
Now, one thing I can say,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Magic was my rival, and he always talking shit about me on the radio.
Right.
Forever.
Right.
Marty was producing all the hits.
Right.
I was never the type of person that, because you making hit records, I'm not gonna play them. I'm gonna play them.
Yeah.
Even though he ain't playing anything affiliated with me. But I play all the records he produced.
Right.
If they hitting, they hitting.
Right.
So when The Bridge came out, I was playing The Bridge. Meanwhile, there was the dispute between Scott and Chris with Magic over some discrepancy, and they had a record that came out on Sleeping Bag Records. The record got dropped. And here it is, an animosity with Magic. Well, you know Magic could have mouth.
Right.
They came across this label called Rock Candy Records. As they came across this record label, they went into the studio for maybe $50 or less or more, I don't know. One take of making this record. I'm in Latin Quarters the night that they brought it in there because that's when it used to be Celebrity Tuesdays with the Awesome 2.
Right.
And a DJ named Raul in Latin Quarters. You know, there used to be this hard plate they call acetate. You know, it's real hard. You know, not like a regular vinyl. And you only get to play a couple times because it fades out.
Wow.
So they handed it to Raul, and Raul put the needle on, and spontaneous, everybody loved it. It was South Bronx. Everybody going crazy, you know? And he even took it, before I got to that, he said, yo, I'm gonna play from the beginning again. He played it, everybody going crazy. So after he finished playing it, here it is that he gave it back to Scott. Scott gave it to me, he said, this is for you to play on the radio. So now here it is, when I come on for the first time playing it, first I playing To the Bridge, to the bridge.
Yeah.
But I slammed in when it came to the chorus of To the Bridge, South Bronx, South Bronx. So yeah, I instigate that.
Yes,
shit.
you started the whole thing. You started the whole thing.
And my reason for that, because I know how they was coming at me.
Right.
Now and also Scott is putting me on with the crew.
Right.
I said, okay, I got a team to go after them.
Bang.
Just like here it is. When he came out with the Roxanne, I was playing all Shantae's records.
Right.
But every time I played Shantae record, I came back with Sparky D. So it's almost the same thing.
Right. Wow.
equal opportunity.
Wow. So how was that when you met Chris and K? When you met KRS-One?
Well, Scott I knew from a long time before.
Yeah.
You know, because we had something in common, playing ball and everything. So he used to DJ uptown, and up in Harlem. Mm-hmm. And then when he always asked me about the business, so when he always say, I want you to be a part of this. And that's when I got to meet Chris for the first time. Mm-hmm. And that's how that came about.
When you heard Chris, what did you think?
Huh?
Same question.
Yeah.
What was your impression of him when you heard Chris?
Average, you know. I said,
Wow, really?
Because I ain't hear him yet.
Okay.
This is before I even got to record.
Right.
Got you.
You know, I'm like, yo, what's up, man? Now hearing on this record for the first time, I like, oh, wow. Oh, this guy got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then what really impressed me more when I heard the next record, The Bridge Is Over, where they asked me to come to the studio and do my famous slang.
Right.
You know? And that's when, you know, I guess by me doing my famous phrase made it official that I'm a part of the crew. That's what it was.
It's the phrase.
Huh?
For people who don't know. I'm trying to get you to say your famous phrase.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't do it no more.
Ain't that a blip?
You might as well
My
say
voice ain't the same.
Yes, I mean, you can at least...
Yeah.
Come on.
He doing it for me. He doing it for me.
Yo,
Love
plenty
that.
of people can play Lucille, but I want to see BB King play Lucille. You dig what I mean? You BB King, that's your thing.
Now I'm gonna tell you, for the past couple of times I've been with Chris at certain occasions, and I get the bill up to do it. But I don't. My voice ain't the same.
And
No,
somebody-
I still got a promo that I still press that I play on the radio, and you still hear it.
Yeah.
And that joint is over 30 years.
Over 30 years old. Wow.
It's not the same as getting to see you do it in person.
Yeah. Where they come from?
Me and Power Wow of the Soul Sonic Force, we used to always joke about there was a cartoon. And it's a cartoon of this chicken that was considered like a chicken hawk. And he was named Louis Foghorn.
Yeah.
And every time he always saying something, he at the end of the phrase say, yes. Yes. He was always known for doing that.
Yeah.
So every time we and Power Wow amongst each other and we seeing something that's going on that's funny to us, we always look at each other and say, yes. So when I started doing promos for my show, the radio show, I took that yes and I nothing it. That's what I did.
So it's really a yes.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What was the backlash between the bridges over and what
It was never no
the drama?
physicality.
It was
None.
never no physicality.
Never.
All right.
But the blessing turned out to be years later after that because, put it this way, I remember when I met Magic the first time after he dissed me. And Larry Smith, rest in peace, he used to be the producer for Houdini. He was at the Club Danceteria. And the first time I ever got to meet Magic face to face, I seen Magic before from the heydays, but I really not face to face. And Larry Smith instigated the shit. He said, Magic, this is Red Alert. Red Alert, this is Magic. Magic, he is busting your ass. This is Larry Smith talking that bullshit.
Right.
And then, Magic is going to talk such. And then right after, every time we saw each other, we just give each other a nod.
Yeah.
Point of respect. Even though I know he was talking grimy about me.
Right.
But, and there's sometimes during my show, I had some promo songs going after Magic. Somebody being a nice one, they off of Houdini, big mouth. Sorry, Mr. Magic. I had them type of promos. Right. So imagine now, I'm going on the road with Sparky, and we always doing shows with Shantae. And if we going on the road with Shantae, who I always saw, first Marty did it a couple times, but here comes Shan being her DJ.
Right.
So now we on the road. We doing gigs. But we always had a sense in our mind saying, listen here, we know we rivals, but we in another state, city, wherever it is.
Yeah, we together.
Anything go down,
We
fuck
together.
all that rivalry, we sticking together.
Right.
That's what it was. So I had the same mentality once we was rivals with them, the Juice Crew, according to what we was doing.
Right.
We never took it any further than that. Which lesson later on, down the years in the 90s, Magic, Shan, KS1 and I, we did a Sprite commercial.
I remember that. Obey Your Thirst.
Right.
I remember that commercial.
Awesome.
So from all that turned into a positive down the road, getting a bag.
Yeah, but at the time, the rivalry was really...
It was right, but it never went physical.
Number one for
Right. But this is the time when people were really competing on wax. Like
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And having two radio DJs to fuel it all.
Well, you know what's so crazy? Because when they used to always say the battle of Kiss against BLS, they was trying to say station against station, but it actually was the rap shows against the rap shows. Because during the course of the day, they are as regular. But when it came to the weekends, who you listening to? Everybody said, well, I'm taping Magic. No, I'm taping Red. And they exchange, and then you had some of them who were fans that was going at each other, yo, he better, I'm better, whatever it is.
People forget that this is when hip-hop only came on at 2 o'clock, like midnight, 2 o'clock in the
Right.
morning, and all the rest of the
because
day
when
was
I
R&B.
was first doing Kiss FM, I was on from 11 at night to 2 in the morning. And then I remember that time that I came on 7 months after me. No, right after I came on, then Latin Rascals came on. Then after that, Rascals pulled off and go somewhere else, then Chuck came. And they had me and Chuck alternate every week, every other week.
Chuck
until
chill
they
out?
split us.
Was this when you met a young
Right.
Funkmaster Flex?
No, I met Funkmaster Flex. It's funny how I met Flex. We was up in the Bronx at a place, it's right off of Parkchester. It was a Howells. It was a club called Howells. It was like a bar club, something like that. And he was an understudy for Flex. And me and Chuck was bumping heads.
He was an understudy for Chuck.
So
Yeah.
as we were bumping heads, so when he saw me for the first time, he would come and talk to me. I know he's talking to me to bat for Chuck.
Well, why were you and Chuck bumping head?
Well, no, put it this way. I wasn't agreeing with certain things that Chuck wanted to do, and he saw I wasn't for it,
Right.
you know. So
What were those certain things?
There you
I
go.
pay what I want.
There you go.
And the
I'm not going to throw Chuck under the bus either.
Yeah, I understand. But the person I spoke to was Funkmaster Flex.
So now here it is that when Flex came to me in defense for Chuck, then we got to talk. We talked about maybe about good 2, maybe damn near 3 hours. But then he got to learn about me because not knowing what is it that Chuck said about me to him, but by us conversing back and forth, he got to learn more where I stand. To this day, we still have that mutual respect for each other. Me and Flex, I gotta say, never had a squabble, never had an argument. Got crazy respect for each other.
Beautiful. We're going to take a 5-minute break.
You in my hood.
Is that the
now.
biggest song? Our House is the biggest one, would you say?
Our
The biggest song to this day.
To this day?
For
Our
Jungle.
House.
Oh, shoot.
That song take them many places. Because you gotta understand something. When it comes to dance music travels globally. Certain genres of music go but so far. But when it comes to dance music, dance or house, well, you know, house is part of dance music. Jungle Boy was running around the world.
Did they get backlash for doing that record though? Because they were a hard body hip hop group.
Nah, not at all. Because remember, the same time they did that, that's when that audience at that time was starting to embrace house. There was some of them that was leaving hip hop to go more into house. But what brought them back towards hip hop was records such as Jungle Boy was our house shoe. There was that guy named Doug Lacey,
Doug Lacey.
and that guy KYs that did Stomp.
Stomp. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
Stomp.
So it was,
Yeah, that's
and then
the
a lot of people didn't know about Mooney Love did a record overseas called Grandpa's Party,
I didn't know
which
that.
was a tribute to Bam. And that was a big record. So these are all house records
Queen Latifah had Come Into My House.
coming to my house.
Heavy D had Now That We Found Love.
Right.
That was a house record.
Yes,
Yeah.
So that was all during that realm of the late 80s, early 90s that, you know, people would say, no, you know, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with hip hop no more. I'm into the house music now. But by making them house records, gravitate them to come back.
It's crazy because now house music is starting to become prevalent in hip hop songs, right? If I'm not mistaken, Beyonce's album had a lot of house.
She got a whole house.
It's
A lot of
coming
house
in
music.
a circle
Yeah,
again.
You know what I mean? It's starting to.
It's coming back into
yeah,
a
it's
circle.
starting
But
to
depending
come
on
back.
who you ask, like
It's never left, right?
we hip hop has such a wide umbrella. That's why I don't like it when people say that's not real hip hop.
Yeah.
The fact is, as hip hop artists, you're in a great position because you can literally do anything you want to do, and it's still a hip hop album.
Lauryn Hill only rapped a couple of times on Miseducation, but no
Miseducation.
one will tell you that that's not a hip-hop album.
hip-hop album.
Nelly made a whole country record. Onyx did a whole rock album. Like, Cypress Hill did rock superstar, rap superstar. Like, we as hip-hop can go anywhere we want. And when we get there, we put our foot in it.
Show how to be diverse in all different matters. That's what it is.
Kind of like your record collection in the very beginning, how you had to learn under BAM how to play all genres.
And what I did, because I learned how to sandwich it, make it all complete, because if you got a big audience, a little bit of everybody, you try to please a little bit of everybody. You know? And sometimes according to how you program your set, you make them people that wasn't into it, get them to believe in how you program it. From blending in, segue, whatever it is.
Right, there's something I want to ask you specifically. We talk about gatekeepers a lot on this. The term gatekeeper has got like a real nasty reputation now. Like that term, period. People gatekeeping. But whenever I think of gatekeeping, I think of what you described. I'm not letting you in here if it's trash. I'm not playing the record if it's trash. Nowadays, there'll be people who say, well, who are you to say what's good and what's bad?
It is. You gotta understand, at one point in time, the DJs on radio that different later on to the guys with mixtapes, we was the trendsetters. We broke records. So as we broke records, people believe in what we present, you know? Everybody wanted to hear what the latest that Kool was putting on his mixtape. They always wanted to hear the latest what me and Marley and Chuck was doing on the radio. When the viral internet world came in place, and it started changing the mindset that instead of going to radio, let's go to see what is the latest online.
Right.
And not only that, even before that, guys say about 50. 50 felt like, well, I don't want to deal with DJs. I want to put out my own mixtape. And then there's a lot of artists that follow the same blueprint as 50. Then later on, I'm about to say the viral online world. You gotta say a person like Soulja Boy. He broke the barrier on YouTube when he came out with that Zoom.
Yeah.
Everybody followed that. So now people program where you see to this day, what, TikTok is the leading thing right now?
Yeah.
That's the new radio.
Huh?
TikTok is the new radio.
It's the new A&R.
More artists get discovered on TikTok than any other platform,
So that
any
goes
other
to show
medium.
you how that whole shit changed around from what we was doing. We still want to hold our grounds. We get tired. I know I'm at a club, I'm playing, yo, play this, play that, play that. They dictating to you what to play. Like they trying to jukebox you.
Right.
There's some of them so rude that they put it on their phone and try to put it up in your face. That's where, you know, they feel like they want to push that envelope on you.
Right.
But did you notice that at the same time this transition happens, the quality of the record begins to drop?
It did. It did, because you made people believers of what is it you put out. You made people believers, you know? So if everybody go follow what Soulja Boy is doing on video, and they don't care what it sound like, but the imaging, you know,
Right.
leads you to that.
Right.
So now there's a million Soulja Boys because it was successful.
And there's so many others besides him.
But before Rakim, how dudes were producing songs and rapping ain't no different than what Soulja Boy is doing. If you really break it down to the
Put it this way. Now, I'm
real shit,
Bro,
The hippity
They're gonna
die.
crucify you for putting Rakim and Soulja Boy in the
No,
same.
He said before Soulja Boy.
I said before Rakim.
Get him now.
He said
You
before
ain't gonna-
Rakim.
Get him now.
No,
before
you
Rakim. He
can't.
said
I said
before
before Rakim.
Rakim.
I mean, if you take Big Daddy Kane and exceptions, like Biz Markie, is he some great lyricist?
Yes.
Now, let me tell you, there were some corny records that we believed in, and I hate
Rest in
days
peace,
too.
Biz. Yeah.
Now, even though it wasn't a good song lyrically, but we liked it, that's all dance and do the Pee Wee Herman. He really wasn't saying much.
I agree.
But we caught on to that.
Right.
You know?
I'm giving a parallel from Soulja Boy. He wasn't saying much, but the dancing and the vibing, you just get those time
Was
frames.
MC Hammer really saying
Hammer
anything?
danced to 10 million
Okay,
songs.
good. I'm glad you said that. I'm about to say, was
I
Hammer
agree.
really saying anything?
Diamond.
No
Diamond.
offense.
I agree.
Was Hammer really saying anything?
Don't do it. Don't
So
do
we
it.
can't
Don't
get
do it.
mad.
And he did it. And he did
Do
it.
that
So
shit.
shout out-
Yo, my aunt had the fucking, she had the tape, yo. She used to watch
Nigga,
that
you
shit like
bodied
every
that shit,
day,
son.
So
Used to be outside practicing
the
that shit.
illusion
to impress
His
take your
lyrics is
mind.
inspirational.
You know, they used to hate me because some of the record reps used to always say, yo, how you like this? Nah, I don't care for it. Do you see the video? What the video got to do with what I hear? See, this is how they try to program you.
Mm-hmm.
I say, I don't look at hits, I listen to hits.
That's a ball.
That's a bar.
Those is bars.
That's a bar.
But that's what the way they were trying to do you. That's the way they were trying to do you.
Right.
So now, okay, well, we can't get him because we gonna try and program the audience.
Right.
So you don't like manufactured hit singles? You don't like manufactured hit singles?
What's a manufactured hit?
Like
Isn't every hit
forcing it,
manufactured?
force feeding it you until you be like, I fuck with it. Like what he just said. What the video got to do with the record?
Okay, a better question. Is there a formula to make a record that you might not like the first time that you hear it, a hit?
I'm gonna tell you, there's certain records that I didn't like when I first heard it, but it grew on me. I didn't like Top Billin' in the beginning. I didn't like it, but it grew on me.
Right.
There's records that I knew that I didn't care for, but turned out to be hits.
So what would you say was the biggest records that at first you was like, nah, I ain't playing that shit, and then it was a hit?
Damn, I gotta think of it.
Was it Top Billin'? That's a pretty big record.
That's a big record as it
It
is.
was a big record, but there was other records besides that.
Right.
You know, I can't think of it, but you know, I know I'm using Top Billin' as an example. You know, but hey, I'm just a person with my opinion, what I believe in.
Right.
No, there's records that I believed in that didn't hit, but it's my choice to decide what is it to program, because it's my responsibility to come towards the audience to lead them. Because once again, if I don't lead them right, to the next.
This is great because we've had that conversation in this room before, and we spoke about the responsibility of the DJ. And I know when I was growing up, the type of rap that we have now, that would have never been played. You couldn't have took it nowhere.
Right.
You know, it wouldn't have been promoted. When did we lose that and the DJ lose being the director of the audience, and it went to this mainstream?
When it went viral.
To the internet.
The viral online world.
And you do believe that the DJ should be the one.
And we lost touch where they didn't want to listen to us. How many times you hear people say, well, I don't listen to the radio no more. No, when they go to the clubs, let me tell the DJ what I want to hear. They are programmed by online what they see or listen to all day.
But is that any different than people calling in to the radio station saying what they want to hear?
Well, that's a different, because you have some companies, they used to hire, not every single person,
Yeah.
they would hire to tell them, yo, keep calling the one here. And we can tell the difference.
Marketing.
Marketing, of course.
That's part of
Call up
marketing.
and keep requesting.
No, but put it this way, there's some records I know that have been past me, but if I'm out there in the clubs and I'm looking at the response and I like hearing it in the street, and I'd say, oh shit, I missed this one. I didn't know about this. Let me look more into it. You know?
That's fair.
Red, they purposefully found a way to go around you because your standards are too high.
And it's a collective of us they've been around.
Yeah.
You know?
When I say you, I mean the
Yeah.
DJs,
Yeah.
the gatekeepers. They purposefully found a way to circumvent and wrest control of this culture and get rid of your guiding hand because your standards were too high, and they were way more interested in making money than they were reserving culture
Especially
and keeping
when
the
they
integrity
can't
going.
buy you.
Well,
Is that fair?
especially when they can't
No.
Buy you.
buy
Let's-
you.
How the three of us came in. It's a little bit different for you. But MECC, does Kendrick Lamar exist without two dope boys and Nah Right?
No, I'm not.
You get where I'm coming from?
I'm not saying
Yeah.
that
But those
there
are still
weren't-
tastemakers.
Right. I'm not
You know
saying
what I
that
mean?
there are people of integrity in those positions. Shout out to MECC, shout out to Shake,
Yeah,
shout out
salute to them.
Yeah, shout out to Nation. Like all these dudes, but they are cut from the cloth of his philosophy.
Because think about what he's saying, right?
They didn't take bread either.
They didn't take money either.
You think what I'm saying?
This show exists, right, from the brainchild of Math Hoffa, but we're not on no network. So we circumvented everything that Red was saying. We blew past all the tastemakers to create this establishment off his back. So
But
that's the same frame.
look at how we're doing it. We didn't go to a network because we're not selling out. Because we're
Yeah,
not accepting
I
bread. We're
agree.
still in the same our moral compass, and I don't.
Yeah.
Our moral compass
No, this
is
is a nice
still
interaction.
here.
Yeah, of course.
We still come from this.
What you
Put,
gonna
put
say,
it this
Red?
way, like I'm still on BLS, right?
Absolutely.
Proud to say that as I'm on my shift is ratings are great because I have dedicated followers. Plus, I'm bringing a new audience because remember, the new shakers and movers are the ones that's in their 30s and 40s that
Yeah.
20, 30 years ago, they was in their teens and 20s.
Right.
You know? Now, here it is. They had grew up more into adulthood with their lifestyle, their profession, whatever it is, and they cater and listen to BLS. So what they hear me playing some of the stuff, because what I used to go way back before, but now they got me programmed from the 90s
On up.
on up. And I still pick and choose at this present time, what is it that could fit right along with everything else?
Right. Well, since you brought up the 90s, this is an era where hip hop exploded. People were becoming millionaires like that now.
Right.
What was that like?
Oh man, here it is. The machine has changed. The direction has showed that the audience was embracing a little more than before, because when you had from like 79 to like saying, I say a give and take around 87, going to 88, it was still touch and go.
Yeah.
But now it got more commercialized because 88 was a big year for hip hop. Rob Bass, Jazz Jeff Fresh Prince, Push It by Salt and Pepper, you know. And then what also happened, once again, by the mindset, Yo MTV Rap, all that come in hand. So now as you go
Along with Ralph McDaniel, what he's been doing.
Ralph McDaniel's the blueprint.
You know what's interesting?
You know he's the blueprint.
Yeah.
But now we talking about across the country.
Yeah.
Yo MTV Rap. I took the piece of what Ralph was doing to make it
Ralph was
across
for
the
New York.
board.
This was nationwide.
Right.
Yeah, nationwide. So now they always assume, but now they see it, and what they do, they program by seeing it. So now they more involved with it. Meanwhile, it still gave us a chance as DJs to introduce new stuff. As we going into the 90s, it changed. Here come where you had a diversity of the gritty and grimy of Dice Effects and Lords of the Underground and a couple others.
Onyx.
No? Now here come the Ghetto Fabulous. No, from the Puff era.
Right.
No, that led, and the same time, you still have some street credibility with Nas, you know? On the side, here come Rockefeller, you know? Still showing its diversity, but it's broadened more than it was during the 80s.
Yeah.
But you ushered in one of the most diverse crews, period. Like you brought in a crew that was apart from everything else you just mentioned.
Which was a good timing because, like I say, with the success of the Jungle Brothers, I would not say they the breakers, but they helped break it in.
Right.
When Jungle Brothers got to be doing a show for the first time with De La Soul that just came out also, they came across and learned they had something in common with their artistry, how they came across making music. Meanwhile, the next set of people that was coming out of Bertram, you had Q-Tip, Ali Shaheed, you know, and Jerobi.
Shout out to Tip.
And
Shout out
also
shout out to the whole family.
from Q-Tip neighborhood is Fife.
Right.
Also came
in
out of
peace.
Mary Burch and that people didn't know was Brother J.
X-Clan.
X-Clan.
Wow.
And normally my man who was their DJ, rest in peace, Sugar Shaft.
Sugar Shaft.
But now here it is, they all joined force. At the same time, I'm in conjunction with Mark the 45 King. He bring to me, because I was playing a lot of his stuff, you know, he bring to me a young lady, Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah on the same label as De La Soul. She bring a certain flair similar to what they doing. Jungle Brothers go overseas for the first time in '88. Once again, that girl house shoot took them places. Who is it that Africa came across and became the top person? She was the top MC in the UK at the time. The female, not just as a female MC, the top MC period.
Moni in the middle.
Moni Love.
Moni Love.
Here they come around. Now, here it is, where I was DJing for Sparky down in North Carolina, I came across a guy that he was one of the top DJs, I forgot what part of town, North Carolina, him and his cousin. He was known as Shorty Doo-Wop. Here it is, he moved back up into New York and kept being around all of us. And he said, yo man, I got this guy that we can do something together. He came across my man Drez. Shorty Doo-Wop changed his name to Mr. Long.
Wow.
Black Sheep.
Black Sheep.
Meanwhile, on the offset, we start seeing people that assemble around us that have some similarity to what they was doing. Here come Beating Us coming around. Here come Leaders of New School coming around. Here come Brand Nubian coming around. Some similarity, but it's still diverse at the time.
Right.
So that would help broaden it for the native tongue.
Now, Tribe.
Tribe was one of the most influential groups of all time because what they did, everybody had their style. De La had their style, Jungle had their style. Tribe brought a style of Afrocentric meet jazz. And they learned how to sandwich it so well with their sound that it was appealing to not the younger audience, but also the older audience. Because they hear the sound of that jazz and they hear the message of what they coming across with. That was so appealing to them. So that's what made them who they are.
De La Soul.
De La Soul, they were going to consider them as corny in the beginning, but they wasn't offensive. You know, they always had this thing about in the Daisy age. The
Inner Minds,
yeah, you know.
Daisy.
But when they came out with Plug Tuning first, then I forgot the next one they came out with. But when they came out with Me, Myself, and I,
Potholes in My Lawn.
yeah,
It was
Potholes in My Lawn was
after.
the second one, right?
Yeah, it's the second
Then
one.
here coming Me, Myself, and I using a sample of
Parliament Funkadelic.
yeah, no, George Clinton and stuff. And then with the introduction of that, who's on there? Q-Tip. For that little segment you're saying, once
Black
again,
is Black.
Black is Black, which is a segment coming from Jungle Brothers' album. Because he was on that album. Black is Black. And also the song that was known as a promo on my show turned out to be a song called a promo. After that came In Time. So it's like how they always kept on developing, one piggybacking off each other. And what really bridged it the most was a song that really captured the eyes that everybody started acknowledging in the native tongue when they did a remix of Buddy.
Yeah.
Because now you see all groups are unified together.
All rapping at the same time.
My buddy.
So remember when I was saying earlier, when I was looking upon what Bam was doing, Bam had the Jazzy Five,
Right.
the Cosmic
right.
Force. Later on, he had a group called Shango, and a couple other groups he had to fill. So when I saw what Bam was doing, he was following behind what George Clinton had, Funkadelics. Parliaments, Ryder Funkenstein, Parlettes. He came with that same mindset to have different groups.
Under the same umbrella.
Me being under BAM, watching this, saying, what is it that I can have an affiliation? Jungle Brothers, De La Soul, in affiliation, Jungle Brothers, Tribe Called Quest, in affiliation with De La Soul, in affiliation with Queen Latifah, having Mooney Love, Here Come Black Sheep. You assemble everything.
Native tongue. And there we have the native tongues.
They made some incredible freaking, that whole movement if you weren't a gangster, if you weren't selling drugs, they were like the only place you could.
If you was selling drugs, you was still listening to him.
If you was around them,
if you was selling drugs,
they were still gangsters though.
Word.
They was gangsters. There's not that they wasn't gangsters.
Oh,
Their
no.
music wasn't gangsters.
I'm not saying that because Dres had whole records about
like
pulling guns on
they
people.
wasn't.
Right.
I'm not saying that.
No.
I'm saying aesthetically.
And Mace was a beast in his own.
Say it again.
Mace was a beast.
A word?
He could not be handled.
See, like
That could not be.
He
that's
changed
the
his whole
that's the
tone and tune. when he
Yeah,
just
that's what
said-
I'm saying.
So wait, you didn't
That's a
mention.
fighting ass
I thought
nigga.
Just Ice was a part of Native Tongues.
No, he was never.
not? Okay, 'cause when I
BDP.
see my shows, people love
me
him
and
so
him
much.
because of the song I did with him going way back.
Oh, okay, that's
the
what it is.
video.
It's the song with
the
you.
video,
Okay,
actually,
okay,
the
okay,
video.
He was a BDP affiliate, wasn't he?
Okay.
Huh?
BDP,
Just Ice.
yeah.
He was Boogie Down Productions affiliate, wasn't he?
He was affiliated with Chris because him and Chris used to be in a home, in a shelter
in
together.
the shelter together. Right.
Yeah.
See, I asked that because I used to see Just Ice at all of the Jungle Brothers shows.
He came
And
up
they
in that
used-
time
yeah,
period.
he came up in that time
He was
period,
always
okay.
around us.
Do you think that it was a conspiracy to get rid of that sound? Because like I grew up off of that, the X Clan, the KRS One, the Tribe Called Quest, and I just think if we never accepted in the more rap that's more toned to negativity,
I think
Where
it was.
we would've
I
went.
think that, my opinion, because I saw this as in a channel in the beginning. I remember when in '82 when the message came out, and then you had various artists, which is still early setting of hip hop, that people were trying to get them to understand it. There was a set of other different groups that came right after the message by Flash and Furious 5 that was putting out similar songs, and that fizzed out. So now here it is, where you have Boogie Down Production, even though they was grimy, but they had message also.
Right.
Because you had Criminal Minded, but then you listening to what he's saying in poetry,
Right.
So he had it balanced. But by the second album, you had people paying attention more with my philosophy. Stop the violence. At the same time, here come Public Enemy. But in the earlier setting before them two, you had Poor Righteous Teachers where they stuck out by themselves. So now they piggyback off of that is what I just mentioned. Boogie Down Production, Public Enemy, X-Clan, several others. The audience is with it to a certain extent because after a while, the hip hop audience felt it was too preachy. Okay, enough is enough. I don't want to hear all that. So what broke the scale through that? Here come NWA. And
They were like the anti.
Diversity.
May I ask you
But
a question?
not necessarily anti, but they were like the Malcolm X to Martin Luther's.
So it's ill math
Right.
because I always wondered this, never asked it completely. Jungle Brothers album had Straight Out the Jungle,
Right,
and NWA had Straight Out of Compton.
right.
There was a connection between them making it that title, or you just don't know?
That's a good question, which I never really look into that. Just pull my mind onto that. Jungle Brothers, their concept is to try to bring a different approach. Because everybody, one thing I could say, during that time, every group was having their own identity. They sounded different, they looked different, they present themselves different.
Right.
So when Jungle Brothers came with this idea of with the Afrocentric
Yeah.
approach. Then you had De La Soul that had their style of what they did, but they still attach according to the similarity of sound and presentation. Tribe, they had their Afrocentric, but the jazz fuse brought a different flair.
Right.
But NWA, their whole thing was about the life they lived. So I didn't think nothing about they had similarity straight out of Compton.
Okay, you just thought about
No, because straight out of Compton, they talking about where they originally come from, where they live.
Right.
Straight out the jungle is like bringing a different presentation. Because as we all know, living in the hood, you come from the jungle.
the jungle. Yeah.
So that was their way. They talking about the city they come from.
Right.
But when they came out, they was coming out raw. Now there was other people that came out raw from them in the earlier stages,
Right.
like King T, Ice T. I remember my man Toddy T came out of this record called Battle Ram. There was some records I was playing from out there. I played also, but they was just displaying what they about, the gang era. Meanwhile, we had our own gangsters, but their shit was slick. Kool rap.
Right.
The most raw I would say, I feel just actually a little more raw than Kool rap. Then here come the smooth, laid back Rakim. We know the gangster image coming from them, but how they coming across,
Right.
They was telling stories.
Yeah.
telling stories.
But they dressed like 80s drug dealers.
They were dressing like drug
They
dealers.
did, but the music, they told stories of what we shouldn't have got involved.
No,
I
totally.
mean, I was such a kid affected by that. So I went from listening to KRS-One, and KRS-One said a lyric when I was a kid that I don't eat meat, turkey and ham or hamburger. I stopped eating meat
Because
at
that's
15
self-suicide,
years old.
self-murder.
I have not ate meat since 15 years old
Wow.
because of that lyric. KRS-One was the one who brought into my mind, I'm going to private school or Christian school. He started saying Moses was black and these people was black.
But
that made
why
me
is that?
immediately go study and go look it up.
Yeah.
When NWA dropped, I'm like 12 years old, I'm good kid. I don't know anything about the street besides what a kid could see on TV. From listening to NWA, I was in the mirror saying I was a nigga for life and I was on the run and you know what I'm saying? No, but it was,
You know what your story sounds like?
Young Bird.
It
Young Bird.
completely changed
Yeah.
who I was.
Yeah.
If I would have kept on the KRS-One path, which that did override me in life.
Right.
Thank God, because that was my original. But think about the kids that came up when their original wasn't KRS-One.
Right.
But why
Their
did that
original-
override you though?
Because that was the source. It was the source. I
The
came
source.
up
but
off
like,
of,
why was it so enticing to you, Bigga?
because KRS-One was education.
But NWA comes. How does that overlap with KRS?
How did that overtake what
It
KRS
overtake
was
you.
saying?
It was just a
it overtook
vibration,
your
bro.
mind because of the vibe, like he said.
vibration
The
just-
vibration. I just
Not
told
the
you I was
vibration,
in the
but we all
mirror.
know in reality that violence attracts more than anything else.
Right.
There you go.
Doing like that.
It's an attention.
I call it the
It's
world.
provocative.
I call
Right.
it the world star effect. You won't stop if two people are giving dap on the street. You keep walking. Two people
Yeah.
fighting in the street.
You know what's so
stop the watch.
crazy? When we had Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, Girls of the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble, and I used to play that in Union Square, the hardcore Brooklyn cats was dancing to that.
Yeah.
Then here it is, later on, they was considered corny. Because when Will started appearing on TV, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and he came with parents don't understand, I ain't trying to hear that shit. But you wasn't thinking like that a couple years before that when you listened to Girls of the World Ain't Nothing But Trouble and Brand New Funk. That was like, oh yeah, now you want to be appealing more to the harder substance.
Right.
And that's what happened. But by NWA coming out the same time as the Native Tongue and many other different features of mine, it had a diversity where you can make a choice which one you want to go to.
Right.
And it came like that into the 90s. Once again, when I was saying, for example, you had Brand Nubian, you had Pete Rock CL Smooth, you had Daz Effect, you had Lords of the Underground. MC Light was still making her way, coming through with the Roughneck and all of that. But then here it is, Diddy, along with Andre Harrell, wanted to bring a different flair, like hip hop grown up. It's like, you know, we're not in the street no more. We trying to show that we classy.
Right.
That's why he came with the term
We about
ghetto
this money.
fabulous.
We about this money.
We wearing suits, we moved up.
It was an R&B.
You know what it
hip-hop.
reminds you of? The crowd he was saying where he learned to DJ at. When it was all dressed up.
It kind of went back to that crowd. That's crazy.
Right. It's cycles. But in defense of NWA and other like hardcore hip hop groups, they're just explaining their environment.
Yeah.
And in a way, in the hood, everybody knew just one kid that was just too nice. And because he was too nice, he got taken advantage of.
Right.
And you would just wish that kid would just be a little bit tougher. But he kept getting taken advantage of. That's like not understanding the mentality of the neighborhood. The neighborhood made you like that. So they were just expressing, yo, this is what's going on around us. Because you think about the time frame of NWA, what was going on in LA?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You dig what I'm saying?
One
really the voice of
example
the
of
community.
what I mean to that. So this will better give y'all an understanding. There was love in hip hop, which you already know about. You know, it was all about love. Heavy D, LL Cool J, I Need Love.
Yeah, Houdini, One
Yeah,
Love.
it was all about love. Again, I'm from this. I'm that age. I'm from that. Snoop Dogg dropped, and he said, "Give a damn about no hoes. I don't, hoes." That changed everything. It changed the whole
and they was
entire.
expressing how they was living out.
But it wasn't just
But we
Snoop.
still have to be responsible for what we
Digital
telling the
Underground.
children.
They was rapping about hoes too.
We still have. I don't even talk about
In
digital.
a different form.
But we
I'm just
still
saying.
gotta be responsible
But I'm just saying.
for what we put out to the children.
Right.
What we put
That's
out
true.
to the children, we gotta be responsible.
Again, the Sucker for Love dude. What does he need to listen to? Snoop.
Yeah. Otherwise,
No.
Yo, every time I broke up with
No.
somebody, Snoop Dogg was the go-to, son. Still, I broke up with my baby mom, son. Yo, last meal, track 15. Son, losing control.
Us looking at black women
Got
as
out of that.
stores was
But it's not all. Bigger, you know
a
that.
kid don't understand.
But
that.
You know
not
that.
only
It's not all of
let's understand another thing. If you remember during the early 90s, when after that situation that Luke went through for freedom of speech, and after they won that opened the door for everybody to speak their mind. And it went gun-ho right from there. Even though we know NWA was already at that point.
Yeah.
And they got in trouble behind that, fuck the police.
Yeah.
And come on. But now here after what Luke was doing, and he had to go to court with that, but it helped lead for the
Ice-T
entire,
too.
Ice-T,
for the freedom of speech. Everybody just went for it. See,
Maybe it shouldn't have been.
Nah, I think at the same time,
I mean,
all that love, like, yo, bro, you can't.
It should- no,
you
you
can't
right.
walk through the project.
anyone
like,
can say what they want, but
love.
you can't
Nah,
muffle.
son,
You
that's
can't
not-
muffle the truth. The truth got muffled somewhere.
When police started hitting people upside their head and all these racist people that was attacking, but no, bro, we needed a chant for
But
war.
Public Enemy had the
We
answer for
needed
that,
it-
though.
we needed a chant for
it,
war.
It didn't take gangbanging to do, but Public
but-
Enemy had the answer for that.
But
Public
you
Enemy
listen to what
died
Chuck
down
D is
around
saying.
that time, though.
Chuck D is, come on, bro. Chuck D was
No, he was
beating
calling-
up slave
yeah,
masters,
yeah,
man.
he was talking some shit.
He was.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
the same message, bro. It was the same message.
in a different approach.
In a different
Just
approach.
wrapped up
Totally
different,
different
just
approach.
kind
You
of.
can't
Elvis
compare
was the hero
NWA
to
to no
most, but he
Public
never
Enemy.
made shit to me.
NWA, I never heard bitch in a record until I heard NWA. I never heard black on black crime like the way they expressed it until I heard NWA.
According
I
to
didn't hear
how they
any of
Love's
that.
gonna get you?
Love's gonna get you.
Love's gonna get you?
No, but that's telling a story. Again, if you listen to Love's Gonna Get You, he's telling you what not to do, what not to end up.
No, he's
that
right.
The
He's
love
right.
is
He's
gonna
right.
get you, it's gonna
That was
send
like a
you down the
cautionary
wrong
tale.
road. You can't compare these
When it
legendary
when it
groups.
come to both sides of the United States, it's different lifestyle.
Yeah.
Different lifestyle, you know. When I remember one time I got into a debate with somebody out west because I was saying we have gangster rappers too. Our gangster rappers is soft. I would say, why you say that? Because y'all ain't living like we living. And that's the way they felt.
Shout out to my man Glasses. Shout out to Glasses Malone. He had a very good point. He said East Coast is hip hop culture, West Coast is gang culture. Like y'all are hip hop first, and then whatever comes after that comes.
But
after
that's not true.
But it's not true, bro.
I'm giving. No.
No, I get it. But historically, come on, bro.
Yeah, that's not.
He just said it was gangs before hip
How
hop.
many gangs?
He said it was gangs before hip hop.
Hold on.
No, I'm not saying this.
No, I know you're not.
But I'm just saying.
To refute that, and I hear where y'all are coming from, and I even agree to an extent, but gang culture out there is all encompassing and it's first. I don't believe
Because it's allowed.
Whatever the
It's
reason.
allowed.
I'm not here.
I'm just saying, we live in a money city, bro. Right. Look, out there, y'all want to paint your whole hood red? Go ahead. We don't care. Try that shit in New York.
Yeah, you can't do it.
Nah, son, it's the
You
money
gotta pay
city.
for the permit.
You just can't do it in New York.
It's the money city. They not letting that fly.
They kept it over there.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, but you can't.
They had some that learned how to balance it, but they kept it separate.
Yeah, but
Right.
Jay-Z, Diddy, the more successful hip hop dudes from the East Coast aren't having meetings in the projects anymore either. You dig
And
what I
they're
mean?
still the most successful gangsters.
Right,
The most
not-
successful gangsters are the dudes that's sitting in corporate. I sit across them all the time, and they are more ruthless than any dudes I've ever seen in the street. They make decisions that could take a whole lot of people out, and they do it like that.
Put it this way, let me put it to you like this, and I'm not talking about within hip-hop culture. I'm going to give you a sample of entertainment culture. This is what I learned. There's a lot of people that was incarcerated that grew up amongst entertainers, but they was living that life in the streets.
Right.
What some of them did, looking out. When they came home, I want you to take this record, put it up on your arm. I want you to go and see you can get this record played by a DJ. See you can get this record player. They introduced the people who was coming out of jail or who was coming off the street to lead into. Now, they're gonna look at it this way. Some of the most successful business people are street cats.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let me get into this. Let me see how I can work it. And then they start working their mind. Before you know it, they start working their mind. Say, I can do this. And they establish, because some of the biggest thugs start becoming record owners. They establish a business.
The drug dealers used to think when I was growing up, rapping was corny.
Yeah.
Until they figured out that they wanted to get some of the
make money.
fame like the rappers was getting,
Of course.
and then they could bust a rhyme.
When did it start being
exactly.
corny, though?
But rap
When
was,
rappers became the new drug
exactly
dealers.
when
never
when
forget-
the
Yeah.
rappers was stealing the light. I would say about
Early 80s, mid to
Nah, it was later
way-
than that.
way
It was
later.
Later than that?
Yeah, way
I
later.
say
it was
me,
in the 90s.
98.
It was
Wait,
90s.
hold on. Did it
No,
start with
you-
Kool G?
No, I don't think
Are
so.
you sure?
I'm-
Give that
I'm-
some thought.
No.
Who?
Jay-Z.
Before that.
Before that. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
saw the Jay.
I would say
I was
before
gonna
that.
say the
I would say before that. The
mid-90s.
paid in full era.
That's what I'm about to say. I'm about to
The
say.
paid in full era.
Now,
You gotta-
now after
The paid in full era. That's when rappers were dressing like
Right.
drug dealers, had the cars that drug dealers had, was going up and getting the custom made gear that drug dealers got. but they didn't have to sell drugs, and now they got more fame than drug dealers.
No, but
So
why
they,
did the drug dealers want to become rappers? is what
when
he
the
was saying.
rappers weren't going to jail and they were still wearing the same clothes, driving the same car, and getting all the same chicks.
Like Slick Rick and them there.
I know the paid in full
I
era.
said Hov.
Dick Rakim.
I said
Dick
Hov,
Rakim.
too.
My older brother
I
was
said
from
Hov.
my older brother was from that era, right? He used to tell me all the time, he looks like, yo, Supreme was in one of the early photos with Rakim.
Yeah,
He was right next to
him and the original 50.
What's
There- and 50 Cent was right next to him.
Hold on. But was Supreme trying to rap?
No, because Supreme
that's what I'm
was
saying.
Supreme was too far gone. But
When did
would
the
he
drug
take a
dealers
picture
start
with the
wanting to be
rappers?
rappers?
Thank you.
The actual drug dealer
me-
want to be the rapper,
when
not
me-
when the rapper wants
I
to
would
be
say
the
from
rapper.
98 to 05,
mid-90s.
from when Hov started really cooking to that Young Jeezy startup,
y'all all
that's
tripping.
when you seen the
Y'all
drug
think
dealers.
because it depends on what you get.
Yeah, because
you
wasn't-
saying drug
wasn't
dealers
Russell
rapping about
Simmons
selling
a-
drugs? Because I could tell you there were many rappers that came before Jay-Z that used to sell
just
drugs
talking
and
about
they
the-
rap.
Y'all
Because I
talking about the
read
most
Russell
popular.
Yeah, but
Simmons'
they
book,
wasn't
and he was a
rapping
drug
about it.
dealer.
You
Russell
feel what I'm
Simmons
saying?
was a drug dealer, and it's a that
I
was
see
happening.
He
was
was
in the
selling
gang.
weed.
Or we, I mean, drug. I mean, that was, whatever it was.
But no, I understand exactly
Yeah,
what
I'm
you're
just
saying.
saying, like,
but it was
it
like
started
at
from
a
the
lighter
streets.
stance of being a drug dealer.
Yeah, but it was
the
some
weed
sort of a
at
hustler.
that time.
Leave in the comments what year did drug dealers wanted to start being rappers. Let's
After
go.
Eazy-E.
I'm gonna tell you, 88,
Oh, that's a good one.
after the first album by Everything Rakim, that's when they got a big signed deal for MCA for $800,000. During that time, I used to have all the dealers come to me and say, "Yo, Red, they getting it like that now?" They were shocked because they always thought about saying, "Oh, you just getting a little bit of money. We got the money." But once they heard about that big contract, and then other people start getting similar contracts behind that, oh, they're getting it like that now? What's going on? So they opened their eyes.
Paid in full era. That's what I said. Paid in full. Even if they didn't start rapping, as soon as you see a drug dealer in a picture with a rapper, that's it.
They wanted to become producers there.
Yeah, they
Or
weren't
just
trying to
wasn't
rap.
They were trying to
yet.
get
They wanted
next
to
to
become
him. They were
producers.
But we're
trying to
talking
get
about
next
saying,
to him.
I want to get on a
Definitely.
record
All right,
and be a
all
rapper.
right. Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going.
90s, towards the
The
I guess
Ghetto
we're
Fabulous.
uh-huh.
Like I said, around 94, but I stayed on
Puffin.
the Buffalo them, lead to Rockefeller. But still, you had on the side the cats for having the streets on lock. Boot Camp Click. I was similar to them.
Shout out
so
to
it
Rock
kept
Miss Monster.
became a balance. But what had override that the image that Diddy and them and Rockefeller and all of them was portraying was showing that oh, we moving on up, we moving ahead, we going forward. This is what we bring, this is what we have, this is what you gotta believe what it is. We come far from where we started.
Right.
That's what it was. Meanwhile, people such as the Boot Camp Clique and many others similar to them, Wu-Tang just as well.
Right.
They say, no, we still grimy and gritty.
Right.
No, we moved up too, but we still keeping ourselves the same way. We've already got just about the same what you have, or even less, but we still got it.
Right.
So that's when you're looking upon which direction you want to go. You want to be with this, or you want to be with that.
Shout out to Black Sheep.
Wow. So who would you say won that battle? Who would you say won that battle? Or won the people over?
It's a little of both, but I say more towards the glamour.
The glamour.
Because look how it coming to today's time. People still upholding that image.
Right.
Being glamorous, splurging, showing,
Right.
Where coming a lot of the artists that's on a commercial level today is above the average. They followed that blueprint from what was taking place in that 93, 94.
Right.
That's when Uncle Ralph said too, the shift. He sat in the same
was
chair.
that shift.
92, he said it shifted immediately.
So when you're looking at artists like the Migos like Khaled, they trying to show and display all how they living. That comes from the Diddy area.
Mm.
You know? Now the true hip hop heads, they still gonna carry their own. And they living like that, but they still resonate the streets.
Right.
Dipset still resonate the streets.
Right.
Lock still represent the streets.
Right.
You know? So it had became a separation, but they both had grew.
How influential was someone like Big Daddy Kane towards that era?
Big Daddy Kane showed how he's fierce on the mic, but came across in a sophisticated way for it to be appealing to the audience.
And the ladies.
His style, his image, while spitting that fire. That's what it was. When you look at that whole Juice Crew, it was a lot of diversity in the Juice Crew.
Right.
We know how raunchy and raw that Shantae can be. We know how Shan could be. We know how lyrical Kool G-Rap could be. Same thing for Kane, but their image was different. Then you had some people that was like, not as mainstream them, but they still can bring it, like a Craig G, like a Master Ace. You know, I'm just naming a few that, you know, they was very diverse in their own way. But Kane, he stand out on his own.
No, I gotta ask, what did y'all think when you saw Kane in the pool
With Naomi Campbell.
with Naomi Campbell looking like she about to get crazy with Madonna and her legs in the air? What was
Did
the
you see that
thought? Were
picture?
people like, yo,
That's
yo,
glamour
see that
right there,
picture?
Red.
That's
You
the
know I seen that
glamour.
picture.
Red, that's
That
not
was the glamour
glamour.
right there.
That's
That was the glamour.
that's grimy to you, Red, or that's glamour?
That was the glamour.
That was the glamour for them at that time.
No,
Yeah.
bro, that's beyond some hood nigga shit. Don't do that to
right
me.
now. That was glamorous right now.
So when that picture hit, was it
Oh,
like,
all right.
he's a rapper though?
He
Like,
was showing in his own way, say,
In its own way.
in his own way,
Uh-huh.
I moved up with the type of chicks I'm dealing
Sure,
with at
yeah.
this
Right.
time.
Right,
I'm popping.
This is the chicks that I'm dealing with at that time.
right.
You know?
You know why that picture didn't surprise
Put
me?
it this way, and it's gonna sound crazy, but I'm being honest.
Say,
By making that song with Kane calling Mr. Welfare, where it was talking about resonating people from the hood, to him go ahead and taking pictures like that, showed that how he was escaping from that to move up to the next thing.
yeah. So naturally, even if you take Diddy and Hov out, hip hop was gonna progress that way.
It was always in progression. It's just that it was showing so many different directions. It always showed different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one thing about hip hop, it's everlasting.
Yeah.
Like in the great words what Grandmaster Cass say, hip hop didn't invent anything, it reinvent everything. So that's what it is, and it always went for
supposed to be
different
here
directions.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, word?
Yeah, he had a venue he had to go to, so he couldn't make it. Of
course he's working.
Precept venue.
What mistruths would you like to correct? Because we had the conversation about the certain network that was trying to get a story spun.
Some that I feel that misguide people and got them blind. We all love money. We all love power. But you lost the artistry of what it is. The artistry is gone. As the artistry is gone, you just putting up and putting out anything to make the bread and not showing the artistry as strong as it been before. You know? That's the only thing I could feel. You know, when I say the development of this sound, of who making it, who producing it, who presenting it, and I also in the looks. You know, I mean, it's a little bit of everything. Where when we got into the recording field, the culture of hip hop got into the recording field, you had to articulate certain things to be accepted. You know, to get a pass. You know, and then you know, You have to there was a selling pitch to make people believe what you bringing. It's crazy where when Run DMC came out, once upon a time, you say it was loud and obnoxious. Within years later, you appreciate Run DMC. So it showed from where it came from to where it became, where it got. And then, you know, once it got too far-fetched where it come to certain sound, not all sound, but certain sounds that now you're going left. You don't care about the artistry no more. You just doing whatever you want, making whatever you want. Don't care because you think about that bread. The bread is on your mind than the style that you presenting.
Right.
That's what I feel.
Be more about the artistry.
The artist always should be the art.
I got a question if y'all don't mind.
Go for it.
So I'm looking at you as you're talking and stuff, and I know you said your first image, you said you wasn't doing the what you call them? You asked him about fashion and stuff, right? So you said you had the
bedazzled
afro.
shades.
So one thing I happen to know is like your hat is a symbol, has been consistent through your career. When did the hat become a part of the image, like the?
I think I started wearing a hat around in late 80s, 86, 87.
Okay.
Because like I said, once upon a time, I was known for having the big red afro. But then after a while, I just felt like wearing a hat. The first hat I had, similar to this, it was a hat by Kango. And it had like, it used to be like a little rubber thing on here. And it was the image of a Kango,
Right.
you know, kangaroo.
Was it fuzzy?
Huh? No, it wasn't fuzzy.
All right.
We're not doing it. It was more like a rubber type thing.
Right.
And what I did, I rubbed it off. And I kept it just like that. So then afterwards, I got accustomed to it. I started looking for every place I can find this hat. And I just kept it like that. So I wasn't thinking about any different other hats besides this. I just stuck to this hat.
It's like me with sneakers.
No.
Now you're
And I know this
this
my ID.
Rows of
I know
his
you
hat.
got the
No, it's
sneakers, bro.
rows of the hat.
I know you got
And
the sneakers.
he's always been consistent with his hat and don't touch his hat. You know what I mean? So
Again, we get to the toxic modesty part because I think there's a lot of things in his career that he's just not.
I mean, I like that term. He's very
Take it with
modest.
you. I
He's
coined
very
it here
modest.
first. Yeah, there's a
You know
lot
what
of
I mean?
toxic
He's very
modesty.
Modest.
Like
He's very modest. Yes.
I've been calling you Uncle Red since you walked in and had no idea how many uncles you're responsible for.
Right.
I'm gonna mention this. I know I just mentioned earlier. First person I called Uncle to was, remember Tuffy for Video Music Box?
Yes, we do.
Robert
Yeah.
Daniels? Tuffy had this big image looking like an uncle figure to me because if you remember how he used to always be hosting, getting people to do shout, and they look up to him, you know, he's a big fella. So they looking like, so I say, Uncle Tuffy. I used to always say Uncle Tuffy, Uncle Tuffy. Then I started calling Ralph Uncle.
Uncle Ralph.
Uncle Ralph. And then here it is, I was at a convention down in New Orleans called the BRE, Black Radio Exclusive. And at the convention, next to the hotel was where there was a big boat ride that Warner Brothers Records, they had. So I got on there and I got drunk, feeling no pain. I got off the boat, going to the hotel, who I see is Luke. I'm feeling no pain. Uncle Luke. He turned around to me and said, you all right, Red? Yeah, Uncle Luke, God bless you. They all, well, not Tuffy held on to it, but between Ralph and Luke, held on to that title. By me saying uncle so much, in return, people start calling me uncle.
Right.
And what it stands for, because terror of endearment, right, you said. You now, as a seasoned vet, but you still got a younger audience looking up to you.
Right.
Instead of looking up to you like a big brother, they go and say uncle.
So being that you was connected to the Violators, you was probably indirectly responsible for Uncle L also.
Well, Uncle L probably took the title Uncle as
Yeah.
well as Snoop
Right.
and a couple others.
Right.
You know, but the first two was between Ralph and Luke.
That's ill.
So,
Because remember, they're elders in the game.
right.
So, of course, they want to attach that title.
When did you notice that hip hop was being pushed towards the youth, period, and everybody else was they were trying to shut out anybody who got to their 30s or whatever.
I think I know the time.
When did you realize, like, why is this happening?
Well, the term hip hop to this day always represents youth. No matter, like I was just saying, that in the past, you know, anybody in the realm of R&B, dance, whatever it is, they never wanted to accept it. So they always want to make it look young. Meanwhile, how many years is it?
Right.
About to be 50
40 plus?
years, but 49, right?
49 right now.
49.
Right.
50 next year.
Yeah.
But they still want to look at it as a youthful term.
Yeah.
So if I got somebody listening to me on radio today on the station WBLS that's in their 30s, 40s, maybe 50s, they grew up on that.
Right.
But they always want to direct more of the newer sound that's being made out now today.
Right.
And want to still say, well, you know, that's that young stuff. That's that young stuff. They grew up. But they always want to title it like that.
Yeah.
So it never gonna stop.
Wow.
You know what I think? The shift from Kiss FM to Hot 97.
That could be a point too.
Yeah. That was a big moment in the city. It divided.
Because, you know, and glad you say that because Hot 97 came in 93. And that's 10 years in I've been on Kiss FM.
Right.
So now it's a new regime, new sound, new development, new station. It's a 24-hour station. There was 24-hour stations such as out west, K-Day,
Right.
you know, and probably a couple other places. But now you got in New York City a 24-hour station that you can hear hip hop all day. So now it resonates to that. Once again, it keeping it youthful. So now they're gonna look at me as the older standard. Even though they brought me over to Hot 97, I was doing the old school at noon, then later on I was doing the 5 o'clock free because
Free riding.
Right,
Yeah.
which I have learned to continue from ever to ever, generation to generation to be accepted.
Right.
They still look at me as the older version, but they go and look at me saying, well, damn, Red been around, but he's still on point with what's going on
Right.
by what he playing.
Right.
So that's where, you know, you saw different turnarounds like that. I'm glad you brought that up. You know?
So,
That's an ill time.
Now I'm on BLS, which is 10 years that quick, because 10 years ago in 2012, April of 2012, was the close of 98.7 Kiss FM,
wow.
That was crazy.
where I wound up coming over to BLS. I never thought I'd ever be on a station that I was rival with.
Mr. Magic's house.
Hey, being on BLS is like Babe Ruth did not picture himself being with the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's crazy, right?
That's nasty.
Hey,
That's nasty.
It's like
bro.
Magic playing on Boston.
it's true.
Magic playing for the Celtics.
When I was growing
It's
up,
getting worse.
But it's, you know,
a lot of the founder rappers that I saw when I was growing up, like we've mentioned some of their names in here, and you know, the founders of hip hop itself, they didn't cash in on the payday. And you know, I've spoken to other rappers that I be around from a more current era, and they seem to feel that when I mention the old school rappers to them, they feel that they don't owe them anything. They feel like, oh, they never put nobody on, don't owe them nothing. And how do you feel about
yeah, what's your view on
Well, put it this way, because I come from that era myself. What I have learned to do when I got my chance, remember I told you, I was the last man on the totem pole. being under BAM. But when I got my turn, I learned to build and embrace, not abuse. Once I got in, I started seeing that now you are in a business, entertainment. You start to observe everything around you. So I learned how to pick up and embrace that. There's a lot of people from the beginning of the culture never had a 9 to 5 in their job. So they may not know much. I'm not saying they do, but they may not know much of responsibility what they have as an occupation. They lived off of pardon to what they was involved with, you know. Hey, I'm the top MC, I'm the top DJ, everybody love me in the hood, everybody love me in the area, I'm making this and that. But they never knew how to manage their success. Some of them that became recording artists, but never had somebody sit down with them to learn how to manage their career for the future time. I was fortunate to get involved with radio to learn about business and evolve from there.
Right.
And not only that, I learned how to keep my name out there. It was sad many times where I had my peers that I came up with introducing them to some people and they don't recognize who they are. There's some people that had some successful songs, but you don't know who the artist is. But you heard the songs all the time. Oh yeah, I remember that. Who made that? So, they didn't go with the growth.
Right.
And, a lot of them are set in their ways at the same time too.
Do you think the new age hip hop should, being that it's a $1 billion industry now and it's using most of the stuff that these guys created?
Well, here go another thing.
Charity.
Like I say, not all, some. When the next wave came in, a lot of the present artists from before did not want to have open arms for them. Oh, you New Jacks, you this, you that, such and such, didn't want to accept them. At the same time, when some of them saw that, some of them was like, oh, well, that's the way you feel about us, so we're not thinking about you. And they moved on.
We can't continue that. I mean, because the history get erased if we...
Which is true. But if you show how to be open-minded and open arms to each other, that's why I respect a couple of artists that, like, what's the white boy name? Oh, man, Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah.
He took time and reached out to Melly Mel,
Yeah.
Grandmaster Caz, Kool D, and they did a song together.
That's
We
what
need
I'm
more of
talking-
them.
Yes, that's what I'm talking
We need
about.
more of
Yes.
them, but there's a disconnect because of how the elders feel and how the new ones feel.
We have to bridge that somehow.
We have to bridge. You know what? It made me feel bad that, rest in peace to Mr. Bill Russell, who just passed away.
That's my
Bill Russell.
yeah.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I ain't hear
That's
that.
one guy I wanted to interview.
You want to hear something wild? The NBA is retiring his number for
Number
every
all
team.
teams. Nobody can wear
No,
number 6
no
no more.
team can have
I'm going
number
to tell you
6.
why I brought up Mr. Bill Russell. Every generation that came through in the NBA, I saw had sat down and have a conversation with that. Because there was open communication. Sit down with Kobe, sit down with LeBron, sit down with many of the youths, sitting down with Curry. But you don't see that in hip hop.
Do you think it's because of the competitive nature of what we come up? We work so hard to go
The
against each other to
rappers
be.
feel like they don't owe the old rap.
We not more competitive.
But
I could've-
they don't feel like they like them
pretty
either.
competitive. Yeah, basketball's
The
a pretty
younger
competitive
rappers
sport.
don't feel like the older rappers like them.
Because a lot of
They
them
don't
have.
listen.
You
A lot-
have
but a
in
lot of-
both sides. You have the older ones that did not want to embrace them and made them feel some kind of way, and you got the younger ones that feel like, well, your time is up.
Yeah.
As you were saying, gatekeeper.
Yeah, I
Right.
feel like that's constant though.
It's not.
But what
not.
Red is saying, we
It's
just
not.
need to highlight the people that do it. Like,
Yeah.
shout out to Method Man.
Yeah.
Method Man
It's
is out
not.
here
And I think
still
that's the
smoking
case.
everything
We gotta
moving.
give more love to the people that
Yeah.
are still
There's people
that
before
are doing
him.
it.
If you have older generations who are threatened by the presence of the youth because it means their time is up, they're going to react in a negative.
But every
if you
year we-
have younger generations who feel like they can't measure up to the standard that that these other guys are setting, they're going to react negative. And when those two meet in the middle, it looks like, well, fuck you, well, fuck you. That's what you get. But if you're nice and you're young, and I'm secure in my career, and I'm secure in what I've done, and I'm secure in my reputation and what I've been able to put in stone, and your presence doesn't threaten my reality, and I admire your skill set, and you see the standard that I set, and your whole thing is, I'm gonna be better than that guy. I'm gonna be as good or better than that guy. And you come at a real MC with that mentality, those guys get along. He chops it up nonstop with everybody. Don't nobody come in here talking, and we go all up and down. Graph, another one, all up and I see people. So I hate that narrative that we just hate each other.
Yeah.
It's the insecure and the whack who make the most noise. World Star effect. They make the most noise, so that's what we pay attention to. But none of us look when he's sitting down giving classes to and talking about how he Funkmaster Flex and Moni Love and all this and he came. Come on, as many doors as he opened up.
Why don't we have a DJ Khaled record and DJ Red Alert record?
Ask Khaled.
But I want to say,
But that's just the point of what I'm making.
Ask Khaled.
But can we go back to what he's saying with Bill Russell? I think that's very important because it just opened my mind. We don't really have an almanac of the accomplishments of everybody in hip hop.
Hip-hop like a stat sheet,
See,
like
when
a-
you look at Bill
Right.
Russell,
Yeah,
there's
you know his
11
stats.
rings
Yeah,
where he
and,
went through.
and there's a reason to respect.
Respect.
Yeah, it's like
So
a
now if we
basketball
come,
paper.
Math Hoffa,
And that's what's lacking in the culture of hip hop.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
From
basketball.
the younger
Like-
just to the older.
like
Right.
how you just sat down with my expert opinion, you ran down giving Uncle Luke his name. Not to disrespect, but what you did, now everybody's gonna look and say, this guy been killing before my own pops was born. He's still acting. He's still.
What you doing, man? What you doing?
Oh.
That's a show. That's a show, bro. We do nah.
Got you.
Got Stop talking. Stop
Got
talking.
you.
Immediately.
Got you.
Immediately.
But you know
That
what?
is a show.
Got
I
you.
will,
That's happening.
I will admit this.
That's
I
happening.
am
That's
honored
happening.
to this day that
Yeah.
a great amount of the younger audience embrace me. Why? Because number one, I have learned to adapt from generation to generation, era to era. If I'm learning how to play break beats from the beginning to where I'm playing,
Listening to the record.
Yo,
Listening to the needle, bro.
listening to certain featured rap records that's going on today, and I've said I'm learning how to sandwich everything together, not only as far as the genres of music, but different eras, and make it sound.
Yeah.
Again, why isn't nobody doing that? Taking records from then and now and making like blends.
It is somebody
Jim-
doing
I
that. It
mean-
is somebody doing that.
Jim,
It is somebody doing that.
Yeah, there it is.
It is somebody doing that.
There it is.
No?
There it is.
Jim Jones and Mano just made a whole album.
Jim Jones and
Taking a bunch of 90s beats.
No, I mean taking the actual song.
The songs, yeah.
And then,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, okay, a lot of the youths at the that work at the station, you know, in different departments, you know, there's some of them that take time and talk to me because I show them, I present myself where I'm approachable. It's not like I'm going to be snobbing, turn off from you, and I don't want to be bothered with you.
Right.
And they come and ask us, I take time to talk to them. But I'm also learning from them too. Because I got to see where their minds is at, what they thinking, what they feeling.
What's something you learned from Funk Flex?
Funkflex is a mastermind in a business sense. What I respect about Flex, he never forget who helped bring him in. When he formed this thing, Lit Digital DJs, he grabbed Chuck Chillot and myself to be a part of it because he looked upon where we open our arms to him. He ain't turned his back. He ain't say, oh, your time is up. He embraced us, regardless how long we've been around. Here it is. He keep me in tune. He let me know. Anything I'm aware of, I bring it to him. That's how it's supposed to be. But everybody. But a lot of people don't think that.
His career isn't threatened by your presence. What he's established with himself isn't threatened by the presence of a legend. That's what happens when you're securing your career. That's what you can do.
And I gotta say, he spoke very highly of you
Yeah, I
for
respect.
a long while.
I appreciate that. I have great respect for Flex. I know how the public may come across, look at him as being loud, cocky, arrogant. But you get to know him personally, he's not that 24/7.
Right.
He coming across as what he's known for doing, being on the air and doing his show.
Right.
Away from that, now he still got his sixth sense where he gonna feel you out and see how far they take you. But he using that mind so well to strategize everything he does.
Right. Awesome.
Which is why the youth still love him on Hot 97.
Right.
He come across them where they embrace him. I know a lot of
Flex.
people say, I
Shout
want
out
the
to
old
Flex.
Flex, I want the old Flex. He may give it to you, but in order for him to keep going, he gonna give the new to the audience that still lock in with him. Because if you stick to the same old, you limit yourself and you only go so far.
Right.
If I didn't take the initiative from ever to generation to, grab to the next agenda, next whatever it is, I would have been left back myself. So that's what you gotta do.
Awesome. Well, speaking of next generations, and I'm listening to this conversation. I know there's millions of rappers that came to you with records, and you was like, that's not it. MECC likes to do that shit too.
A lot.
Being that your son is an artist, how many of his records do you be like, that ain't the one?
No, he already know. I be hard on him.
Yeah, he's hard on me.
I be hard on him because I look at it this way. I was hard on my nephew Mike and them.
Right.
I don't treat you no different.
Right.
If I can draw you back to the drawing board, that's good. If you feel you believe in it, okay, I'm gonna let you rock out.
Right.
Now I wish you all the best. But that's what it is.
Right.
You my son, you gotta be good.
Yeah.
You can't be out here stinking
And
up the
another
name.
thing-
Yeah, picture, yeah.
Another thing very important, I let him become into his own. Not under my shadow.
Right.
Where people feel, well, you only got through the door because who
Right.
you are to.
Right.
He carry his own.
Right.
No. If you find out who he is to me, I guess
by
right now.
then,
you
Yeah,
gonna
right
find
now,
out.
you don't know.
Right.
Don't worry, you got like 2 more weeks. You got like 2 more weeks.
Right.
Do what you can do with that 2 weeks. You good.
But
Thank you.
you accept him for who he is, not who he is a part of.
Right. And I respect that. Denzel's son did the same thing.
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
People didn't know. Yeah.
Matter of fact,
oh,
did you hear
uh,
about Idris Elba's daughter?
Yeah, I did.
That you heard about
Yeah, I
that,
did.
Mav? She was trying to get a part in a movie that he was in.
Oh yeah, and they shut it down.
Yeah, and she was mad because he was like, "You didn't fight for me,"
Yeah, but
and I'm like,
But it's a delicate.
that's the
She had talked
that's the
for
total
3 years?
opposite though.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
three-
but
oh, that's
there's
light.
no, even closer to home than that. Coast Contra.
They related to someone?
2 of them.
What?
Raz Cass.
What's one of them's name? Ras Austin.
Raz Austin.
Wow.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you, Raz Cass. That's their son.
You heard about Raz? That's the people that was at the table rapping. They got the
Yeah,
they
the
had
two
old school-
twins.
The twins.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the two
yeah.
twins.
That's awesome.
They
That's
was
awesome.
killing it. Yeah,
I was
didn't know
But-
that.
I
But I brought up
yelled.
Denzel's son and said he changed his name so you wouldn't know it was him. Like he was Denzel's son until
And not only that, come on, let's face it. When you are under somebody as a family member, it's all so much big, high expectation upon. That's a lot of pressure on you.
yeah.
I was gonna ask.
No, it was a lot of pressure. I mean, my first See, I tell this story pretty often. This is the best platform I ever got to tell this story, so I'm gonna tell this story. 9/11 happened when I was in high school, my first week of high school.
Right.
And like your first week of high school was like your identity. Like I'm making my name for myself.
Right.
I'm gonna be known as me. And I knew I could rap a little bit, but I wasn't trying to be a rapper. But 9/11, he came to get me. He came to get me from school. That's when I noticed like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this music thing, because after that, my name was Little Red. I walked past classrooms. I heard yeah from out of other people's classrooms.
Yo.
I was playing, I was in basketball tournaments. They used to use red. One tournament I played in the East Side together, we chilled. They called me Cold Blue. Like it just was a lot of red alert stuff.
Yeah.
So honestly,
Blue.
Cold Blue.
Right.
So,
Some ill niggas,
so I used to get a lot of like Little Red alert. Then I used to get the wave of the rappers that used to tell me, yo, can you let your dad hear my music? Can you let your dad hear my music?
Right.
And at first it seemed kind of cool because it was the good seniors, the older dudes, but it got weird when the first time when I realized, oh, he don't just say every song is good, he says songs is whack.
Yeah. And
How
then
am
you
I
gotta
gonna go back to school to these older dudes and tell them,
Pop said,
Pop said you trash, dog.
So what happened is when I knew I could rap, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep the rap thing to me because they can't wait to say I ain't not right. You know what I mean? So I had a real dope hip hop entry in my high school. My high school was very like, I went to FDA. We had a recording studio in the high school. Shout out to Dr. Hodge. I mean, he was a dope dude as far as bringing in our influencement of hip hop.
Yeah.
And we had one of them lunchrooms where somebody was doing a beat, a cypher was happening.
Oh yeah, that's
Back
it.
to
That's
like
battle
father
was
like
happening.
son, the lunchroom.
So you know what I mean? So that
Lost my
stuff,
first battle in the lunch.
so that stuff made me kind of like shy away, even though I kept writing. I used to write a lot of rhymes. But when I started actually recording my music after high school, and I started letting them hear my music, I started learning how to appreciate his perception and his opinion, you know what I mean? It was a growing process. And I didn't let him hear every song, because I knew you can't just come to him with every song, you know what I mean?
You know what the standard is.
So I knew his standard, so I made sure I took a lot of time to really make sure I was confident in self and okay with self and what I had to say and what I had to bring to music. And since then, he's just been an inspiration. Like he said a little earlier, I don't know if y'all caught it, like to this day, he still gets up in the morning, listens to new music, listens to what's out, listen to what dropped. To this day, he still talks to me, yo, you heard this album, yo, you? So that keeps me working at all times. Wow. It keeps me working so much. I'm always trying to find a way to get better. Look, before we started, I'm asking you questions about, I don't even battle rap, but I'm asking you questions because it's things I want to learn about. It's things that I still want to, I feel is a real, like, jewels that can go into making my artistry better.
Right.
So I'm always a student to it, you know what I mean? And then, like I said, I'm always humbled because I see a man like him that's never stopping. Like I'm looking at him now, and I think every day that he continues to be a DJ, he's breaking down that whole wall of it's only a young sport. You know what I mean? He's breaking that wall down every day that he goes on the radio station.
Sets the limit a
There's
little
nobody
further.
that's gone that far. So we can say it's a young sport, but when he's done, now it's a testament. Well, no, you could actually survive in this from.
He's in the almanac.
He's in the almanac. You could do
11
this from 19
rings,
to
Red.
60 to 60 plus. You know what I mean? So that's what keeps me motivated. And a big misconception. And I'm glad he said this. Thank you for saying like, yo, he puts his own work in. You know what I mean? A lot of my journey has been, I think if you don't know me, you might assume. It came from me just going, yo, pop, you know what I mean? And I did grow up hip hop, you know what I mean? For all intents and purposes. I did grow up running around a radio station. I was fortunate enough to create relationships, but I had to cultivate them.
But you're not supposed to hustle backwards.
Yeah, you're not supposed to hustle backwards, but I had to build them. Right. They had to, a lot of people that have helped me throughout my career have been willing to respect my work ethic and my
Access
craft.
doesn't mean entry.
It doesn't mean entry.
Access has never meant entry.
You know what I mean?
You
And
can
I
have
know
access to everything.
You spoke of a
Entry
lot
is
of
different.
children that offsprings of hip hop that I know. Like I'm cool with Square Off Dougie Fresh Sons. You know what I mean? I know Young Dirty Bastard. I know Vina Love. Kid Capri's daughter. You know what I mean? Scott LaRock Jr. is my guy, and it's crazy. You just knew story. You said that you knew Scott LaRock from playing ball. Right. I know Scott LaRock Jr. from playing ball.
Wow.
I didn't know who he was, but I knew him from playing ball before I knew who he was.
Wow, that's crazy.
You know what I mean? So it's like, a lot of these people I know, and we kind of share a lot of the same stories. And I mean, it's different because all of our parents have different involvements in the culture, but for me, he keeps me working at an all-time pace, and I understand that. I'm not one of those people that looks at it like it's a young man's sport. I think, like we said, we just talked about Jim Jones. He was just doing a video just today before I came here, you know what I mean? He's still working to this day. The wall can be broken down depending on how much
We spoke
work
about
you
that
put
with
in.
Method Man.
Method Man
still-
is another person.
Meth's
you know
still
what I mean?
smoking everything
Fat
out
Joe,
here, bro.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
these people,
they're giving us the blue.
they've given us the blueprint.
think
They
about
break
this.
the walls down every day. And
When he started, he was what, 15?
yeah, we talking about him as a teenager.
So as the hip hop is growing, we're talking about an art form that's only half a century old.
Correct.
It's still the youngest art form.
Correct.
So everything he's learning, it's gonna take another 30 years for another Red Alert to say, all right, this guy's in his 60s and he's
He's
killing
gonna be in the
dudes.
almanac, but it is gonna go. But that's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
but we're the first.
He's the first of his kind. When he's done, he's
All
the
of
first
us
of
are
his
the first.
kind. Yeah, all of us. We're talking about the first 50 years of hip hop.
Yeah, we're the first.
100 years from now, we are all, everything we're doing is
Yeah.
historical. Honestly, you know what I mean? If you in retrospect, I mean, I can't say retrospect because we're in the moment, but if you think about 100 years from now, everything we're doing is one of its first of its kind. You know
Damn,
what
I gotta
mean?
do some push-ups,
You know what I mean?
make sure
So-
my image is nice.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
you're right.
we getting back in. Come on, Matt.
just saying,
That's why we all
retrospect,
come
you know?
to the gym. They
I'm
don't
not
know
going
this
to.
guy.
In the beginning stages, I had no idea that he was busy writing.
Yeah, he didn't even
He
know.
never knew. So what happened one day, and he was in school up in St. Bonaventure. So as my wife and I are together, he sent some music for us to listen to. It was an R&B song.
Wow.
So it was an R&B song. When it comes to the rap part, we hear his voice. And we look at each other and we say, where'd this come from? We had no idea. Until he opened up and he said, yo, I've been writing for a long time, but he never revealed it.
Yo,
You
I
know?
used to listen to like DMX and, you know what I mean, Mimic and DMX. I used to write a lot of shit that I used to be like, yo, my parents see this shit, they're gonna think I'm crazy. I'm not letting them see this right now, you know what I mean? And I was blessed enough to be in the school and record.
Now, also, before him, my older son, he's touched a little bit on the microphone, but he ain't go all the way with it, you know? Now, he's the one that, in the early stages, y'all probably remember, I used to always have this little voice on the radio. My daddy, that busy, and that's my older son.
Right.
And, you know, he became a popular person from the promos. And the reason why I got that from the earlier days when I was listening to radio, a guy by the name of Ken Spiderweb, he used to have his kids on the radio. So when he had his kids on his radio, I was like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that way gave me an idea when I started doing my mixes and I made promos of my older son. Because it's like saying, as a youth, you hearing somebody on the radio as well, you see them on TV, you inspired by that because you feel there's a connection.
Right.
You know? Oh, I wish that was me on the radio. I wish I was on TV, you know?
Right.
So that's what I did with my son. And so many different people grew up on that. And you know, of course, my son is like tall, and I never forget this. This the funny part. First time Nas got to meet my son. And you know, my son Rob was looking older than his age. So I snuck him in a club, supper club. So here it is. I said, yo, Nas, why didn't you meet my son? Someone used to be on the radio. Nas took a look up at him and he say, yeah, I remember listening to Shorty. And he looking up to him. But he became part of my career, you know? And then, you know, later on here, he's coming along, so I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I allowed them to become into their own. I was never the type of person, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. No. Whatever you do, I'm support you. But I'm going to lay back as the father. as you become into whatever you do. And that's the whole idea.
Lastly, before that, you know, even though, like I said, he let me do my own thing, but I want to say the Jungle Brothers, I give Mike G and Av, they really took me in and really kind of like, I'm proud to say I'm like the youth of the native tongue. You know what I mean? That means the world to me. Like Chi Ali always takes me and put me up under his arm, dress. They bring me on stage. They let me, I perform on the main slot, my own slot. I've been on ciphers. I'm fortunate to say I've been in ciphers with some of the dopest people that represent the native tongues, and they have really kind of helped groom me into a professional, you know, and that part has been the like dopest experience.
It's a good feeling when instead of saying, yo, that's Red's son. No, that's G's father. So otherwise, it's like saying they identify him before me.
Nowadays they be like, it's Mims pops. Yeah,
That's G's pops.
That's how things have
I
turned
like
out,
that.
You know what I mean?
Because now it's showing that you identify who he is and who I am to him.
Right.
Instead of the other way around.
Yo, that's the clip right there.
Yeah.
That's the clip right there. That was the super alley.
And I just want to close it out for them too. I just think that's just a natural thing for the black man, because I saw BIGGA bring his son here to absorb it. Math has brought his daughters to the studio.
I have 2 daughters too.
I've seen, like, and to see how each kid has each of his personality. Like, the son that plays basketball got the coolness. The youngest daughter got all the personalities. She's like, I know, yeah.
She got the aggression too.
Yeah. The other one.
When I take time, I look upon Steph Curry.
Steph.
Now, here it is. We all know how his pops was nice and boy.
Yeah. Delk, Wardell.
But Steph molded into his own.
Right.
And his brother too.
Right.
They molded into their own. Who I feel bad for is when LeBron's son come in. It's too much pressure on him.
That's why the second one is getting, like,
The second one, you seen the second one yet?
He can ball.
Because he under the radar.
Can we stop
He
saying
nice.
the second one, please?
Oh,
What's his name? Bryce. Yeah,
Okay,
Bryce. But he's the youngest. He's the younger one, right?
But
He's the
but
second.
he
Bryce.
let them be coming to their own.
Yeah.
Another thing.
Yeah.
I remember when Run from Run DMC kept on being so much on his oldest one. His oldest one didn't get far.
Right.
But who the one that came out of nowhere?
Diggy.
Diggy.
Diggy
Diggy
came
the
out,
one that came out. You ain't pay attention to him. He was the one that was
Rusty.
popping.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you gotta allow them to be coming to their own. That's the whole idea.
Well, as fathers, sometimes we harder on the firstborn than everybody else.
See, Jordan's sons ain't in the league.
Yeah, Jordan's sons ain't in the league. It was
Patrick
hard.
Ewing's son
I was
didn't
in
play for the
5-star
Knicks.
basketball camp a summer when his sons was there. It's hard. Everybody, you didn't even see them and everybody was talking about them. You know what I mean? I didn't even see him in the cafeteria and everybody was saying, yo, Michael Jordan's son is here. You heard he did this, you heard this, you heard last night they played. I can imagine, like, that is probably, listen, I was in high school and I felt like he was too enormous for me. He said 5 o'clock free ride, old school at noon. When I was in school, he was on radio. When I was going home from school, he was on radio. You understand? It was a lot. It was a whole lot. It was nerve-wracking for me. I like to think I'm a pretty confident person. But he doesn't even realize the enormity of him as DJ Red Alert was too much.
That's a long
It was
shadow to
too
step
much.
out.
It was too much. I didn't know how to start a conversation as me being a rapper and knowing that this is going to end with you knowing me, knowing I'm Red Alert son. Because if you don't like it, or if you, let's say, you don't even give me a chance if you like me or not, you just embrace me because of Red, or you want a favor, or you want to be able to tell Red, oh, listen to your son. Like, nah, I need you to appreciate me for me first. I need you to know me. I need you to accept me or not, and then we can get to the other things.
Then whatever happens. Right.
Whatever happens, don't forget the dollar. You're right.
I'm gonna do that similar too, because when I'm talking about my older brother that used to play for Rucker, and he was known, he was very popular. So when I started coming around, because my brother's nickname was Ernesto, or the Ness. So when I came around, they used to say, yo, Little Ness. Okay, cool. I want to be known who I am myself.
Right.
But I didn't want to put that on both my sons.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's such a great supporter, but having someone like him is not that's to say he left me alone. Because when I came to the house, I used to go to Atlanta, I was like, yo, I want to rap. He used to get me up. Wake up 9 o'clock, what you write? Here's a competition book. Let's go downstairs. I'm putting on beats. You're freestyling. You're not going to stop. We're taping it. You're going to study it. You're going to get better. We're going to come back. I'm going to wake you up tomorrow morning. Oh, when you with me, you're going to work. But you know what I mean?
Because you can't be my son and be trash. My name is Red Alert.
Right, no, he was like that with me. Don't get it twisted. He didn't just leave me alone. Yeah, he didn't leave me alone. But when we were together, if it was about work, he was gonna get on me about work.
You about to get the family name Cook?
So,
You better get out here.
Well, he sees what I do myself.
Yeah, and I see what he does himself.
Here it is. I could be laid back, easy, and everything. I'm on that computer every day, constantly, staying abreast of everything that's going on, keeping it tight.
Awesome.
You know, you can't slip.
Facts, yo.
Right.
Well,
And that's
I
a
want to
lesson
thank
learned to everybody.
you. I want to thank you for your contribution to a culture that drives all of us. That everyone here is here because of something you helped usher into the world. We appreciate you.
I appreciate each and every one of y'all for allowing me to be on here. Thank you very much. Or how my man Busy B used to say, I'd like to thank you all for the block party. I feel quite at home, right part of the family. You all do it to me every time. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Salute.
Thank you.
Salute.
It's Hoffa, trapper turned smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars, I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work you heard. Making fiends leave earth you heard. Got your baby mama thirst you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the wave you need to see.